So as the players are coming out of the dressing room, we're getting ready here for the last of the final four. It is the Tampa Bay Lightning on the road at MSG. And that's hard to believe because they've won 10 straight playoff series, but they're going to be taking on New York Rangers. So let's go through the starting lineups right now, and then we'll get you some extracurriculars here. So as the players are coming out of the tunnel, let's get some starting lineups and get some stats together there. For the Tampa Bay Lightning, it's Anthony Cirelli because no Braden Point. Again, he might miss the rest of this series. He could be available as soon as the Stanley Cup Finals. So it's Cirelli, Stamkos, and Kucherov on the first line with Victor Hedman and Eric Chernak on first line defense. Then Nick Paul, Andre Palat, Alex Killorn with Ryan McDonough and Zach Bogosian. It's Ross Colton, Cole Koepke, and Corey Perry with Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, Patrick Maroon, and Riley Nash from what I see now. But there's probably going to be some changes in terms of maybe adding a Brandon Hagel or whatever they want to run on John Cooper's side. So we'll get that updated once we know for sure. Mikhail Sergachev and Cal Foote on the third line defense. And for the New York Rangers, it sounds like this with the big cat net for the Tampa Bay Lightning, Andre Vasilevsky. But for the New York Rangers, it's Mika Zibanejad, Chris Kreider, Frank Petrano with Ryan Lindgren and Adam Fox. Ryan Strome, Martin Panarin, Andrew Kopp with Keandre Miller and Jacob Trouba. Filipino, Alexei Lafreniere, and Kaapo Kakko with Barclay Goodrow, Tyler Mott, and Ryan Reeves. And third line defense sounds like this: Justin Braun and Braden Schneider with Igor Shesterkin in between the pipes. So there's certain things I can say definitively, and there's certain things that are going to have to be up in the air until puck drop, until the series goes a little bit deeper. But let's get some of these stats out of the way as we go through the national anthem and all that before we get into it. So for the Tampa Bay Lightning, they have had 9 days off. And this is because they're fresh off of the sweep of the Florida Panthers. For the New York Rangers, they're sitting on home ice, which is hard to believe, again, because the Tampa Bay Lightning have won 10 straight series. You have to win 4 playoff series to win a Stanley Cup. That means Tampa Bay is in the midst of trying to go back to back to back. They need 8 more wins to do so. But the Florida Panthers, they got swept in 4. It was 4-1, 2-1, 5-1, and 2-0. Tampa outscored Florida. Many people who picked to go to the Stanley Cup Final possibly win it all, but Tampa outscored them 13-3. So Tampa is 8-3 in the playoffs. They went to a Game 7 against the Toronto Maple Leafs. They played them 11 times, and the only times that the Lightning won back-to-back games against the Leafs were Game 6 and Game 7, if you can believe that. So they average 3.27 goals for, 3.45 goals against. Power play is about 23%. Penalty kills close to 88%. The first period splits are key for Tampa. They're 10-5. That means they score 10 and they give up 5. And here's the thing you want to mention for Andre Vasilevsky really quick. So in that series after playing the Toronto Maple Leafs, he going into the series against Florida, he was a sub 900 save percentage at 897. His save percentage has risen to 932 after the 4-game sweep. You want to know what he was against the Florida Panthers? Try 980. He was a cyborg in goal, Patrick Wall level. Andre Vasilevsky, if he gets another one here, you're going to have that conversation with Vasilevsky or Wall. And I'm serious. Both these guys are that good. On the other side for New York, what's interesting is the only goaltending matchup that's really going to be that close in between these two is Igor Shesterkin. So the best goalie in the world for the last 4 years versus the best goalie in the world right now, and Igor Shesterkin. He's 8-5 and 268 goals against, 928 save percentage. He's given up 37 goals. He's made 511 saves. And since being pulled about 7 games ago, he's been excellent. So what's interesting, again, the only goaltending matchup that can really kind of match up with Vasilevsky is Shesterkin. So the one thing I can say for certain in this series is, yes, you might see some 4-3 games, but you're not going to see no 8-6 or anything else like that on the side of it. These two goalies are walls, and it should be a lot of fun to watch. I'm going to go ahead and put Cooper Hopkins here as my color caster. If he wants to switch over there on the other side, more power to him on that. So we're going to get ready here for our goaltending matchup. As we said, it's Andre Vasilevsky and Igor Shesterkin, 8-5, 268, 928. No shutouts here for Igor yet. But This should be a lot different as far as goals allowed and goals for, and that's what we're going to find out here in game one. Again, this is the last of the final four. So this is the Eastern Conference final with Tampa Bay Lightning. They've had 9 days off in comparison to the Rangers, who've been playing every single other day because of back-to-back 7-gamers. So the Rangers win the draw as this goes in toward the left side. And we're going to see who's going to be on the ice here. It looks like the third line for John Cooper's squad with Nick Paul and Alex Killorn. So Killorn is going to be out toward the red line. He's got it now, trying to be held off there by Keandre Miller. So the second line defense is out there right now for Gerard Gallant. Picked up now by Trouba. Trouba is going to try to get this ahead, and it goes past Mika Zibanejad, stolen there by Eric Chernak. Picked up now by Tampa Bay. It's going to be interesting in this first period how they play, considering 9 days off. Usually they dominate the first period. They've been outscoring teams by 7 goals. So it's going to be interesting when they get their legs underneath them. Zach Bogosian with a bomb pass, and it goes all the way down the ice to Adam Fox, one of the Norris Trophy candidates. He's been exceptional in these playoffs. Adam Fox trying to find it now and pinballs it to his defensive partner because Zibanejad comes all the way back to go pick this up. And now Adam Fox has it now. Nice check against Panarin. Zibanejad open, trying to lay a cross pass for Kreider. Scores! The Rangers off the first rush of the game and the first shot. Chris Kreider, I haven't even got my stats on him. It's 1-0 Rangers, 18:49 in. Cooper, welcome to the goal scoring show. I didn't think we would see this right away.
John Ott, what have you done to the National Hockey League? Every time you call a game, there are 15 goals scored in the contest. We are underway here. Just over a minute has expired, and the crowd at MSG is up on their feet. What a play. Great chip at the red line right there. You see the hair flowing out from under the helmet. Zibanejad gets it to Kreider, and this is going to sound very convenient, John. When you gave me a chance to get on the mic, I was going to say, let's watch number 20 for New York tonight. But we are already watching him as he snipes that wrister from about 15 feet. It's 1-zip.
So Chris Kreider has a playoff record in regular season combination, I think about 62 goals, and they said on Sportsnet side Adam Graves was at 64. Hopefully get some confirmation of that. So we're going to figure out if he's going to break a New York scoring record. So Chris Kreider's already got one, and Tampa trying to get their feet out underneath them. Like I said, they haven't played in 9 days, and we got an offside entry here, I believe. 18:13 left to go in the first period. It's one shot, one goal, courtesy of Chris Kreider, and he has, 54 in the regular season? So that is in great company considering you're in an original 6 franchise like the New York Rangers, plenty of Hall of Famers in those rafters. And Cooper, it's really interesting to me to see Tampa Bay Lightning starting on the road despite winning 10 consecutive series, isn't it?
Very interesting. And, you made a great observation. Look, it's one of the more obvious ones, but one that I'm so glad that you touched on. 9 days off. I don't care how much playoff experience you have. I don't care how much success you've had on the ice. When you get a week and a half off, it's going to take a few minutes for you to get your skates under you, and that seems to have been the case there as Zibanejad just put on the Jets when he needed to, finds a nice, crisp pass across to Kreider, and he finishes the job. So I hope that your voice is warm. You didn't have a choice. You had to get the goal call going. But it looks like the Rangers are warm here to start, and Tampa Bay is chasing it.
So now we have a defensive zone draw. It's won there by the Rangers. And again, it's been really important for them in the last couple of games. They've been pretty good in the faceoff circle, but so is Tampa Bay. But again, like Cooper said, they got to get their feet underneath them right now. Anthony Cirelli just has 1 point right now in the playoffs. He set up a beautiful slap shot there from the point. Kucherov's got it now. Tries to play it to an open left wing, but nice interception there by the Blue Shirts. Tried to play a breakout pass ahead, but this goes back to Keandre Miller. Keandre Miller gets through a couple of side steps beautifully there, and the Rangers can try to start a breakout here. Picked up now by Strome toward the left side, but he's going to need some help. Artemi Panarin also in there as well for the Rangers, trying to keep this alive. The Let's Go Rangers chants alive and well at MSG, one of the only buildings that hasn't sold out to a corporate name. Nice defense there by Keandre Miller to play that out in front, and that was Andrew Kopp. Andrew Kopp now will get into the zone. He's been a great pickup since coming up from the Winnipeg Jets. Took a punch to the head there by Cal Foote, but he's still fine with that as Tampa Bay breaks out now on the own, and Alex Killorn. Nice setup across, holding off the backhand. Foot, Chernak sets it up. It's blocked out in front before it hits Shesterkin. And here comes Tampa Bay, but they can't hold the blue line, so they're going to have to reset here with Chernak. So Victor Hedman and Chernak is on the first line defense here for John Cooper's squad, and we'll see if that's going to change as the series go forward as well. Igor Chance are alive and well as on MSG as well. So Igor Shesterkin and Andrei Vasilevsky, the big cat. It's going to be interesting to see these two goalies square off, two of the best in the world, as opposed to the last previous series when it was all goals. Shouldn't be as many on this side. Picked up now behind the net, Victor Hedman tries to play this one across. Corey Perry trying to be on the right team for once as he won a cup. He's been to 3 Stanley Cup finals in a row, but he hasn't got that cup yet. Picked up now by Mika Zibanejad. It's a chance there for Strome to put this in deep, and this goes back to the big cat. He's going to play this in behind the goal crease as it's 15:50 left to go in the first. Breakout pass gets bounced off a stick, and Shesterkin will calmly play this one to the left of the red line. Kept in there by the Rangers, and they're going to try to break out, but Tampa Bay with some good active sticks out in front. So even with the early goal that we've seen from the Rangers, there's been some good active stick work by Tampa. So their defense has been pretty on point. A Kucherov shot goes just to the left, picked up now by Tampa Bay and behind the own end. As it goes across the red line, gets checked nicely. Trouba is trying to get in there as well. Patrick Maroon for Tampa. And this goes back to the red line now, where Capo Caco can get a shot on net against Vasilevsky, who turns that one aside. Now, interesting to watch in the second year, Alexei Lafreniere, as the series goes along, it seems every time I watch this guy, he's really starting to come into his own. He's got 6 points in the 14 games, but the playoff experience at this point for a second-year player is paramount. This goes across the red line and up around the players' bench, so we get a neutral zone draw.
Yeah, John, it seems that here, about 5 minutes in, that Tampa Bay has gotten their skates under them. That's what we were chatting about a couple of minutes ago. It's nice to see Vasilevsky have a chance to settle down there, really not having to face too much in the way of offense after, of course, the goal being scored by Kreider. But Tampa Bay, to their credit, with that pedigree, the back-to-back championship pedigree, seems like they're settled in here and things have evened out on the ice.
Yeah, it's interesting what a series of two different teams will make in a day, and that's what we're seeing right now, a little bit more of settling in more than just exploding out front of the net. There was a chance for Kreider to set up Zibanejad, but it went across the blue pin. Tampa's got a 4-on-3. They're trying to play this pass in the slot. A Hedman attempt goes just to the left of Shesterkin. Now in behind Gretzky's office, Killorn tries to play a pass. It's blocked out in front, and this finds Andrew Kopp. Andrew Kopp nicely there to Artemi Panarin. Try to go 1-on-4 and paid the price as McDonough laid down the lumber. And now this goes back in behind the cage, where this goes to Zach Bogosian. You can tell Zach Bogosian on the ice with the scraggly playoff beard. That's what you have during this time of year. And it's nice to see for Zach Bogosian, especially being one of those cap luxuries that Tampa's had over the last couple of years. We get an offside entry.
Gotta love Panarin trying to do it himself, 1-on-4. He paid the price right there, and he got a little love on the bench. I think his teammates recognized that he was trying to make an individual play right there, and of course it didn't go the way he hoped. But those are the kinds of things you need to see for a Rangers team that, of course, they hold the lead right now, but against a team like Tampa Bay, you want your teammates to be making that extra effort, and that's what we saw between Zibanejad and Kreider on the goal as we head to commercial.
Let me throw a couple of numbers at you, Cooper, if you don't mind. I was kind of getting some of the stats together, and this is courtesy of the Hockey Guy on YouTube. If anyone does not follow this guy, Blake, welcome to the chat. If anyone does not follow this guy on YouTube, I suggest you do. He just gives some great stats, throws some stuff around, and keeps it good for everybody. So Mika Zibanejad, again, keep in mind that the Rangers have played 14 games. He's got 7 goals, 12 assists, and 19 points for the Rangers. That's absolutely insane. And on the other side, for Nikita Kucherov, you thought about the last couple of years with the injuries and things like that. Nikita Kucherov, 4 goals, 11 assists, and 15 points in 11 games. So the big-time players are stepping up and playing big time for both of these respective teams.
Yeah, they certainly are. And a player that I'm curious to watch tonight on the blue line for New York is Adam Fox. He's such a good puck mover, great young defenseman, came up through the NCAA ranks. And, of course, I, as a Calgary Flames fan, remember when he spent a brief time with the team. But I think he could be an X factor tonight as he's going to try to shut down Tampa Bay with his fellow defenders in blue shirts.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And I want to throw another one on the second line because New York's defense is so good. Jacob Trouba, again, it's 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points. But Jacob Trouba leads the playoffs in hits and block shots by a lot. And he's only on the second line because you have Lindgren and Fox, like Cooper was saying. And Keandre Miller is also probably one of the most underrated defensemen that we have on the Rangers in the NHL. So this should be a great series, and we're both very much looking forward to this. This is just game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals right now. So an early goal here by the Rangers, courtesy of Chris Kreider at the 111 mark, was assisted by Zibanejad and Frank Vatrano. The Rangers have this now in their own end. Zibanejad trying to play this across for Kreider, and it goes back to Eric Chernak. Chernak going to set this one up to the giant Victor Hedman. He plays a pass across, and on the forward side is Brandon Hagel. He was a healthy scratch there, I believe, in the game 4, but he is out there now as they just decimated the Florida Panthers in the Battle of Florida. Shot out in front by Hagel goes just wide to the left face-off dot. Shesterkin being screened, and now we have a kerfuffle out in front of the net. There is some sticks in the air. There's some helmets coming off. Chris Kreider's got a chokehold on someone. Braun's got Perry. There was some commotion out in front of Shesterkin, and Kreider's still not letting go on the other side of the board. So the guy that scores all the goals is also the one leading that physicality, and that is just something that I absolutely love to see.
My goodness, you got Colton throwing punches there. I mean, look who's right in the middle of it. Surprise, surprise, Corey Perry. He's been a pest for so many teams in the NHL. Western Conference, Eastern Conference, doesn't matter. It's really, especially in the latter portion of his career, but really throughout, he's always in the mix. He's got the skill, and he's also got the grit, as the saying goes in hockey. And he was right there. Looks like he got the butt of his stick into the mask of Shesterkin, and then he was actually pushed into the goaltender by one of the Rangers. And that's when things got rolling. A lot of physicality in the crease, and that's only going to increase as this game continues.
Yeah, no doubt about that, Cooper. I know I was watching some old videos the other day of Billy Smith of the Islanders, and I just imagine him giving a big whack with the stick right in the kneecaps. And thankfully, you can't do that stuff anymore because Shesterkin didn't have his space, and he was pretty upset about it, and so were the Rangers. It's an offensive zone draw win here for Tampa, trying to pick it toward the right side boards. Jacob Trouba trying to fight off a host of Tampa Bay Lightning there. Trouba still working there with Keandre Miller, but it goes back into the high slot. Lets it go, does McDonough. Blue shirts get a block inside, and this rattles around the kick plate. Picked up now by Ruda. Ruda on the other side, pinching in on defense. Now Plot trying to find this thing with Steven Stamkos. Stamkos throws in a nice cross check over there. Stamkos now goes all the way back to try to pick this one up. Again, his body had been beat up. He needed this time up with all the block shots. Slap shot attempt for Stamkos, set up by Ruda beautifully. 1-1 Lightning tie this one up, and when you have that exaggerated setup on the one-timer when the stick is just high in the air, ready to launch, Steven Stamkos, thing of beauty, nice work behind the cage, and it's 1-1 now.
Boy, oh boy, I have not seen a slapper like that in some time. That looked like a video game shot. That was a windup that seemed to just hover in the air for 10 seconds before he unleashed it, and that was a picture-perfect top cheese slapper to the corner. Beautiful shot. That's what Tampa Bay can do. Blake, you got to be pretty happy right now.
Yeah, Cooper and Blake, you called that one perfectly. That did feel video game-esque. He was holding that circle button there for a long time and let that one go. And what a shot by Stamkos. Ties the game at 1. It's 4-2. Tampa trying to rush this thing 2-on-1 right now as this goes back with Killorn holding off the backhand, trying to find Kucherov, but it falls back to him for the high slot. Hedman also trying to wait in that same spot as this goes to Nick Paul, the pickup from the Ottawa Senators. Adam Fox trying to hold off the red line side, picked up now by Tampa one more time as Kucherov is trying to find his way through. It's stuck in between Killorn and Fox at the red line, and now this goes back in behind the cage of Shesterkin. Spin off there for Alexei Lafreniere as he's trying to get his team out of the defensive zone. They can't. Nice interception by Tampa. Killorn, beautiful pass out in front. Shesterkin said no with the pad save. So Tampa really has started to get some of their feet underneath them, Cooper, as you're saying. And thankfully for them, it's only taken about 9 minutes to do so, more than an entire period. Cal Foot has this now in behind the cage of the Big Cat as Tampa is looking to break out of their own end. A saucer pass goes all the way down the ice, and it's going to be an icing against the Lightning.
John, great call thus far. You've really been doing a good job at conveying the action here, and you can feel it starting to shift here. Blake obviously happy with the goal to tie this game up at 1-1, but I'm sure he's very pleased to see the energy and the skill start to make their way to the surface here for our away team tonight. Tampa with those white and blue unis, they bolt down the side. And it's justified because their energy has really picked up after, I wouldn't say a shaky opening, but just one that they're not accustomed to. That's going to happen when you have a week and a half off. And they are fully rolling right now and looking very, very dangerous as we expected.
Once we get a stoppage here, I got some thoughts I want to share with you here on that, but we're going to get back into the action here. Goes in behind the cage of Shesterkin, and New York is trying to set back up in their own end. I think it's been a really good game on both sides, but 5-2 so far on the shot board in favor of Tampa. It's a 1-1 score line. It was Chris Kreider and Steven Stamkos, the heavy lifters, respectively, for both teams. Slap shot in across the red line as this goes back in where it can be collected to Ryan McDonough. Foot's going to play this one across, intercept at the blue line, and the slap shot goes wide. Rangers trying to find this thing toward the left faceoff dot, but it's turned over. Tampa trying to get a breakout going, but I think there was some miscommunication on a line change there, and it allowed the Rangers to go back and pick this up. Keandre Miller warps this one off the kick plate. It goes back into the offensive zone now, where this finds in behind the cage of Vasilevsky. New York has it toward the high slot, lets it go into the screen. It gets blocked out in front. Heedle gets smoked off the cross check. No call there. We're down to half a period left to go here in an offside entry by Anthony Cirelli. 10:04 left in the first.
Well, you are right. That was right on the border right there. The cross check looked to be up in the shoulder area, and I would have probably raised an arm there if I were wearing black and white, but that's not the case, and play continued. But, John, you made a quick observation that's very important to note. Look, we're always, folks in the media, hockey fans, we're always looking for who's going to be that X factor. Heck, I even brought up Adam Fox a little bit earlier. But you have both captains on the scoreboard now for their respective teams, and that's what you're going to see for teams that are ready to make a deep run. And listen, we are deep. We're talking conference finals time here. But when you need to go all the way, you need to see the players wearing letters make a difference, and that is the case tonight.
Absolutely, Cooper. I couldn't have said that any better myself. This goes back into the blue line now, and this finds the red where Tampa can get this one down. Shesterkin will calmly play this in behind the cage, and the Rangers can try to get things going here. It's been a little bit of disheveled time, about 5 or 6 minutes trapped within the neutral zone here as both teams have kind of turned on the defense. And that's one of those things that we said in the open. This is two very good defensive teams with two elite level goaltenders on the back of it. So we should not be seeing 9-6 score lines. It should be more standardized here. Still in behind the cage, Victor Hedman trying to pry this one free, but New York doing a great job trying to center one out in front, and this gets intercepted. Kucherov lost it, and this goes back down the ice where it's going to be an icing. And Cooper, I wanted to make this point to you real quick before we get back in the action. So look, I know Tampa has won 10 straight series, and they need 2 more to get 3 cups in a row. But you imagine they're going to want to take this 9 days rest, correct? More than anything else. They need it more than any other team in the NHL.
I think so. This is something where perhaps, John, the mental edge will always be with Tampa, and that's something that the New York Rangers are going to have to overcome. I know we have a puck drop in here, so I'll get back into those thoughts in just a second.
So their puck just goes right back into Vasilevsky here as it gets flooded in off the chance. But let's go ahead because we have a commercial timeout here with 9:12.
Yes, we do. And hey, as is always the case, I seem to be about 4 or 5 seconds behind you on the video feed. I have the slowest fast internet in the world. It's a fun factor Rangers team that just is always going to be, even if it's close to a completely equal game, and these are, of course, not exactly equal teams. Tampa Bay brings the back-to-back pedigree, as we were talking about earlier in the period. I think the Rangers will all be, for reference point, the Rangers will always be at that 49% to Tampa Bay's 51. They've been there. They have leaders. They have coaching staff who's done it. They've done it back-to-back seasons. They're prepped and ready. I don't think that every team has bruises, nicks, cuts, sprains, tears. The physical piece of it is always the case when you get this deep into the NHL playoffs. So the Rangers, listen, to their credit, they come out, take the advantage. Hey, Tampa Bay's been off for a week and a half. Let's strike quickly. They are able to do so. Stamkos answers. So now it's back. The Rangers is essentially, they have the ball back in their court. Can they get back to a 2-1 lead? I think if you start to see Tampa Bay taking another 1-goal or a 2-goal lead, that's going to be tough to overcome just because Tampa Bay knows how to finish.
Yes, and to your point, too, I want to mention this. I know I just caught you in the open when I was clearing some of those stats out there. So Andrei Vasilevsky, he had a sub-900 save percentage against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I understand how good that team is offensively. Against the Florida Panthers in the 4-game sweep, he had a save percentage of 980. That's Terminator/Cyborg level. And Igor Shesterkin on the other side is about 940 on the other side. So again, to all your points that you've made, this is very critical here for the Rangers. Try to take game 1 at MSG and do whatever you can. I do think they're capable of doing so, but as you said, Tampa Bay is always going to have that mental edge of being there, knowing they've done it before, going for a back-to-back-to-back. It doesn't matter. I mean, they lost their whole third line last year, and look what they've replaced it with in Hagel and Paul. And Kaloran has just been excellent. So, yes, I agree with all those points. Face-off puck drop here as this goes back to Adam Fox. Plays it in the high slot. Gets screened there and did the big cat. And this one up in our play off the goal stick. So we have 9:05 left to go in the first. It is a 5-5 on the shot board, Chiron. Again, it is an ESPN feed, I believe, here for Cooper and a CBC feed for me. So we're going to try to get you laid on both sides of what's happening on the ice. Fox leads the Rangers defense with 18 points in the playoffs. And that really just blows my mind as this goes back in toward a offensive zone draw that is lost. Hedl was in there as well, and he couldn't get to it. So I'm imagining not too many face-off draws for Philip Hedl, but it's nice to see Gerard Gallant give him that opportunity. So Lafreniere plays this one in, but it's going to be an icing against the Tampa Bay the New York Rangers with 8:51 left, as they're showing Adam Fox highlights all over the screen. And what's not to like? He can play the puck, he can shoot the puck, he can set up his teammates, he can play some great defense. And he was one of those guys a few years ago. You were wondering if the Rangers thought he was worth all of the big bucks, and now he's playing like one of the best defensemen in the NHL currently. 2 goals and 6 assists, and he's on a 5-game point streak. Again, this is at defense. So he's playing just as good as any of these forwards bringing the production in, and not many teams have that kind of power on the other side to deal with. So Brandon Hagel lost the draw as this goes back across the red line and now catapulted in by Tampa. And I think there was another big-time hit on the other side, but the camera had cut away. Alexei Lafreniere is going to have to chip this one back out. And now across the red line, the Rangers intercept this one. Capo's going to turn around toward the left face-off dot and try to find some space. He tried to play to Keandre Miller. He's going to get this one now as this goes back into, I think, Braun now. Third-line defense is out there as well. So Braun and Schneider have this out there. This goes to Artemi now. Artemi's got it toward the left as Doug does a half pivot, plays a slot pass, and it gets deflected there because Strome wasn't ready to receive it. And now here's a chance for Paul, trying to hold off the right face-off dot. Nice centering pass there, but the Rangers have been there just like the Lightning have. Here comes Kopp. Kopp is going to leave this one in. He's going to try to slap it around the end boards, and it's picked up by Ryan McDonough. You kind of wonder how Ryan McDonough is feeling playing against his former team, and Barclay Goodrow on the other side. Nice chip and chase by Paul. Sets it up, backhand forward, what a stop by Shesterkin. I don't know if that went just over the glass or if he made the glove save there, but Nick Paul with one of the most beautiful chip and chase setups you will ever see. A Kucherov slapper blocked off the goal stick. Cooper, what is happening? Did you see that chip and chase there?
I absolutely did, and boy, Shesterkin, as cool as you like. He goes left to right, full stretch, and then just pops back up after having made the save like nothing happened. That has got to be a big confidence boost for the New York Rangers. They gave up a massive opportunity. Frankly, should be 2-1, but Shesterkin up to the task. What a stop.
That was absolutely mind blowing. And again, I'm getting the second look of Nick Paul being able to just play that one out in front for a cross. And that just doesn't get any better. And then the Kucherov slapper toward the left dot gets blocked with the big goal stick there of Shesterkin. So both of these goalies have been on their P's and Q's as far as the saves that are needed to make. Now, Ryan Reeves is taking the faceoff here against Anthony Cirelli. You would think Cirelli's going to win this one. I didn't really get that matchup. So Cirelli has got this one. He's going to play this ahead. Stamkos try to get this across the red line, but it was intercepted there by Fox. Barclay Goodrow will get this one ahead. He's trying to find Kreider as this is picked out in front by Tampa. York keeps this in the offensive zone as they get this one in deep, and Vasilevsky will go back out of the goal crease to play this one. But good forechecking there by New York to try to stay on and cause some pressure. So again, both teams are causing pressure, and they're not giving up too many opportunities, courtesy of that humongous save by Shesterkin, nonetheless. Played out in front for a chance for Hedel, and it goes just wide as this is picked up now by Andre Palat. Going to try to settle this thing back down here as Victor Hedman is going to go back behind the goal cage, and there's going to be a wholesale line change on the offensive side as the Rangers fans are pounding the glass. It is 6:10 left to go in the first. Picked up now. Hedman almost turns this over, but he's able to somehow get this across the red line before falling down. Keandre Miller now gets it in deep. The Rangers trying to still work on that forecheck. They've kind of been pressuring Tampa pretty well here. They're just not able to get shots out in front until that cross pass, maybe. And Zibanejad got his shot, I think, stopped by Hedman before it hit Vasilevsky. A chance now for Kreider, holding off the backhand, trying to wrap around, and Vasilevsky held tight to that left post. He made the save. Victor Hedman on a 2-minute shift right now. Again, you would want to keep it more closer to about a minute, minute and a half. It's going to be an icing, so Tampa cannot change. 5:39 to go in the first.
Love to see at the other end Vasilevsky answering in a far different way. It was not called into action in the same way that Shesterkin was in the crease for the blue shirts, but you just love seeing Vasilevsky, again, cool as you like. That's exactly the same phrase that I used for Shesterkin. I mean, these are two elite goaltenders. You know, of course, Vasilevsky knows who's behind him in the trapezoid, gets the paddle down on the ice, preventing any wraparound or kind of scoop-in attempts, and he looks very solid here early.
So you got to like this right now, Cooper. Quick action, no penalties, elite level goaltending, and elite level defense. This is much, much different than what we're going to see in the next series come again tomorrow. That was the final of a 8-6 against the Colorado Avalanche and the Edmonton Oilers. So I know styles make fights, but let's talk about these two Eastern Conference teams at one point. Whoever advances against whoever advances in the West, do you feel like this elite level of goaltending and defense is going to give the Edmonton Oilers or the Colorado Avalanche trouble?
Well, John, you and I worked a number of games in the Battle of Alberta that, of course, went to the Oilers in 5 games. One that I think both of us thought would last a little bit longer. The Flames unable to give enough of a push against that top line of Edmonton. I don't think that the style of play that Edmonton has displayed, particularly throughout the Battle of Alberta and then early here in the Colorado series, I don't think they'll be able to get away with that against either of these Eastern Conference teams. With goalies of this quality, and Mike Smith can make a difference. He did against Calgary.
Absolutely.
But he's also prone to having games, as we saw a night ago. And you just can't get away with that, especially against Tampa. But I actually believe that is the case with the Rangers as well. I think that with players like Fox, who we've talked about, I mean, that kind of defense, that kind of goaltending, if you get down, as the Edmonton Oilers, for example, if you were to get down 2, 3-0. They seem to find their stride and find a second wind when playing from behind. I just don't think you're going to be able to make up that margin. Now, having that conversation about Colorado is a little different story. They, of course, have McKinnon and some elite level scoring. Nazem Kadri is playing at another level right now. They're better equipped if they were to find themselves down, I think, regardless of the skill level of McDavid and Draisaitl. But if the Oilers somehow find a way to upset Colorado, I think they would be hard-pressed to take a Stanley Cup from either of these Eastern Conference teams.
I'm going to get to some more thoughts of my own in a moment, but I'm absolutely agreeing with you on that so far. We're going to get back to that a little bit more in the intermission. We got about 5:30 left to go in this first period. It is 1-1. It's a one-on-one entry here. This is a chance for Maroon. He got punched right in the mouth there by, I think, Lafreniere, who came all the way back. Stolen. And Kucherov was able to fire one on. Maroon is still getting worked over in front of the net by Lindgren. Again, Lindgren was taking a couple shots in the previous game where he had to get limped off the ice, but he's playing in this one, and he looks good right now with Fox. When you're playing with Adam Fox, you can make anybody look good. Back in behind the cage, Artemi Panarin trying to find this one, but it was picked up by Maroon. He gets canceled off by a hit, and a pass goes all the way back to the high slot of the left side of the blue line. Maroon's still in behind the cage. It's loose out front. It what a stop! I think that was Sorrell or Kucherov that just got robbed by Shesterkin. What a glove save that was.
Again, Shesterkin, absolutely perfect technique. Look, I'm not a goalie, but you watch enough hockey games, you know what you're seeing when a goalie is dialed in, and number 31 for New York is fully dialed in. I mean, that is a snapper coming from inside the right face-off circle. If you're Shesterkin, no screen, no one in the way, time to pick a spot, and Shesterkin comes out, cuts the angle, and I believe that was Kucherov, right? He fires it right into those classic cascading letters on the Rangers jersey.
Stamkos has his shot stopped there by the stick of Shesterkin. A breakout attempt now. This goes back for Zibanejad, trying to hold, leaving it toward the right faceoff dot, now intercepted. And again, Kucherov is an absolute playoff terror. You get him with time and space to shoot, like Cooper said, and that's a stop. That's a stop that only a few goalies in this league can make. 4:10 left to go in this first period. Gloved out of the air by Stamkos. He tried to send it in deep. Palat plays it out in front. Trying to center this one on front. Palat might fall to it. What a save again! And Shesterkin made two more. It's loose out in front of the high slot. Shesterkin has been on fire. Here comes a slap shot attempt off a fake. And Hedman lets this one go. This falls in toward the right dot. This is picked up now by the Rangers, and they have to just catapult this one out. My goodness, what a series of sequence of saves by Shesterkin. I'd be chanting Igor myself if I was a Rangers fan. My goodness. Picked up now in the offensive zone. The Rangers trying to get this out of their own end. Tampa attacking one more time. Cal Foote trying to leave this here for Hedman. It goes into the screen. It's toward the left faceoff dot now where it works in behind the cage. New York is being under siege at the moment. Cal Foote tries to fire it toward the right faceoff dot. And now it's 3:05 left. Tampa still attacking. And now we get a call on the ice. Are we going to get our first penalty is the question.
I think, John, we are going to see a penalty here. It looks like it's going to be a hold. And I think, if I'm seeing this correctly, that New York will be going on the man advantage here momentarily.
Yes, Brandon Hagel, 2 minutes for holding here. So it's going to put the New York Rangers on the power play. Thank you, Cooper, for that, as always. Again, sometimes we don't always see that stuff on the other side. So when I'm in that role reversal and you ask me for clarification, I'm glad I'm able to provide some of that here. So it's Hagel, 2 minutes for holding Filipino. So it's going to put the Rangers on the power play. And if I have just enough time, the Rangers' power play percentage in the playoffs is elite at 32.5%. And the penalty kill for the Lightning is about 88%, 87.8, which ranks third in the playoffs. So this is what you want to see. Specialty teams have been excellent for New York. So Fox, slap shot there for Zibanejad, gets stopped there by the Big Cat. And now Tampa can try to get this out of their own end. We're down to 3 minutes left to go in the first stanza. It's 1-1. The Rangers are on the power play. It's loose out in front of the high slot. It finds Panarin. from Fox. Panarin lost it, and this goes down the ice. So the Rangers in the second round were 7 of 21 on the power play, 33%. So they're right about that average. Fox going to play this one ahead for Zibanejad and then turned over. It's a one-on-one. Fox is back, the lone guy on defense with Anthony Cirelli. He's playing on that top line because Braden Point is injured. He might not be available until the Stanley Cup Finals if the Lightning should get there. Picked up now, Nick Paul. Good forechecking there off the penalty kill. In behind the cage, trying to keep this alive against Fox. Dumps Fox hard against the boards. Played something out in front. Stopped by Shesterkin. So Nick Paul with a yeoman shift on the penalty kill was able to kill about 40 seconds of time. And now we're down to 2 minutes left to go in the first period. About 50 seconds left to go on the Rangers power play. And this is a chance for Alexei Lafreniere to get things set up. And the Rangers have kind of just been roaming around on their own end before they can start this breakout. It's a 4-on-3. It's a chip and chase. Hedl tries to get around McDonough, and it's turned over in behind the cage, trying to be patient with it. Now this goes back into the high slot. Trouba lets a slap shot go through the screen, and it goes just wide. Picked up now by Lindgren. Lindgren's going to play this across. Trouba's got it. Throws it to Kopp. Kopp lets it go through the screen. Stopped there by the pad of Vasilevsky. Power play down to 10 seconds. Picked up now. Trouba trying to wait into that high slot. Hedl has it. Leaves it here for Lindgren. Lindgren in the right faceoff dot. Trouba's got it in the high slot. Pass across to Kopp. Tried to play it there to Hedl, and it goes up and out of play. So the power play is pretty much going to be over. 1 second left. 1:11 left to go in the first.
Gotta say the Rangers have done a good job here, other than a moment in their own end. And John, you made the call. Who was that for Tampa Bay that was basically a one-man team, a one-man forecheck there for the Lightning?
Nick Paul from the Ottawa Senators. What a pickup he's been.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. I had a momentary lapse there. What an effort from him. But other than that sequence, the Rangers have had a solid power play here. A couple of decent scoring chances, a nice slap shot from the half wall, another slapper from near the blue line that was deflected, and Vasilevsky's had to be called into action.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And there's just a little bit of action left here in this first period as we're at 1:11. The puck drop has been dropped unfairly here in the offensive zone. So this is a chance for the Rangers to start over. The penalty has been killed. The slap shot bounced high off the inboards, and the blue shirts still have this thing. Down to a minute left as this pinballs off of Ross Colton. Keandre Miller has it now. Keandre Miller gets it back, plays it in toward the left side. This goes to the left of Vasilevsky in behind the red line, and now Tampa can finally get this one out. Brandon Hagel is lone forechecker against Keandre Miller, and Hedl will wire this one down from about 50 feet, stopped by Vasilevsky, and then played, and then put all the way down the ice. So this is going to get picked up by the Rangers, but it's going to be an icing against the Lightning. With 36 seconds left to go in this very entertaining first period. Just one penalty. Again, Tampa had killed it off. It was Brandon Hagel, 2 minutes for holding Philip Sedel, and then goals from what you would expect, the big boys. It was Chris Kreider and Steven Stamkos.
Yes, indeed. And after these captains getting on the board for their teams, we've seen things settle down, so to speak, just in that the ice is now pretty evenly balanced, and it's going to be really interesting to see who comes out with a flourish in the second period.
So we have about 20 seconds left to go in the first period, and a chance here for Panarin. He's trying to hold, leaves it in the high slot, set up here for Fox, lets it go. He missed the net way wide, high left off the glass. A wrist shot gets blocked out in front by Tampa, and then cleared down the ice. Going to get set up one more time by New York if they have the time. This is Panarin now. Panarin lost it toward the blue line side, and that's how the first period is going to end. 1-1 after one. It's 11 shots for Tampa. It's 8 shots for the New York Rangers. And you know what? I love to see some defense, and we're seeing that between these two teams. It's a breath of fresh air from the arcade video game style numbers that we've seen over the last previous few games.
Absolutely. I mean, of course, what a wild game we had last night in the Western Conference. And as you alluded to in your open there, John, this is right on track with what we expected. Elite level goalie play, solid defense. We're seeing players give up the body to block shots. And look, we're also seeing the skill on display from the skaters on both of these squads. I mean, a great first period of hockey. And I'm expecting more of the same in the second. And it could be a bounce here and there, a little puck luck one way or the other that makes a difference in a game like this.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That's what we're seeing here early. And unless we see some kind of gaffes or anything else like that, which, again, you and I don't expect from these two teams. There's a little more attention to detail. I'm not saying that there isn't against the Edmonton Oilers and the Colorado Avalanche, but I also think more along the lines like I believe that you do here, Cooper, in the sense of if you're going to take defense and you're going to take personnel, coaches, and things like that, I think you're going to along lines of between these two teams in the East rather than the two teams in the West.
Yeah, absolutely right, John. I mean, this is what we were speaking about before we hit our intermission here. Obviously, you know where I stand. I'm trying not to let the bias sneak in as somebody who cares about the Calgary Flames. I didn't mean to be too disparaging about the Oilers. I mean, obviously they can hang with any team. It can explode for, just a flurry of goals in a blink of an eye. And that can keep you in the match with any team in the NHL. But obviously the Avalanche are better equipped, although I will say we do have an interesting situation to keep an eye on with Darcy Kemper, because if Colorado was able to move on, Darcy Kemper had to leave the game last night, and some of the media is speculating potentially. Obviously, we're not going to get any detailed information, certainly not at this time of the year in hockey. But Darcy Kemper, I believe it was taking a shot off of the mask, the forehead, or somewhere around the temple. He stayed in the game, then had a quote-unquote equipment issue, and I believe was in the game for another handful of minutes, only to then be pulled for Francouz. So, John, obviously you were on play-by-play last night. I joined you for the very end. But maybe you could share any thoughts you have about whether or not you think that's a serious situation, or if that's something that's going to play out here, certainly in the Western Conference Final. But if Colorado has to bring Francouz in as their number one, does that really take them out of contention against a team like Tampa Bay or even the Rangers?
So here's the thing that I saw toward the first part of the intermission was Elliot Friedman, I know from the CBC side, he said that it was a typical air quote unquote that we get this time of year upper body injury here for Darcy Kemper. Now, Pavel Francouz on the other side, his save percentage is very similar to Kemper's as far as a 903 and a 902. So both of them, as I said in the opening of that game, I don't think either one of them are very elite, or I wouldn't say they're not good. I think they're adequate. But the thing with Colorado is the sense of if I can keep the shots on goal total, and you can tell me if I'm wrong on this or if you disagree here, Cooper, but if I can keep the shots on goal total between 26 and 28, Darcy Kemper and Pavel Francouz can definitely win you a game. If it goes between 35 and 40, Colorado better look out in terms of some danger that they have. So Darcy Kemper might be their number one, but I'm not really certain if Pavel Francouz is either that much worse or if there's that much in between the two.
No, hey, as is often the case, I agree with you completely, and you make a good observation in that, yes, we can focus just on the blue paint and who is patrolling that blue paint for any of these four teams to remain in the Stanley Cup playoffs. But what's arguably more important is who can dictate the run of play, who can possess the puck, who is solid in the faceoff circle, who's winning their offensive zone chances, right? I mean, we could get deeper into the analytics and talk about Corsi, and we could go down the list. But even just the eye test and these are, of course, hypotheticals. If Colorado's there, if Tampa Bay's there, whether or not it's Kemper or Francouz, is Colorado able to dictate the run of play against this double, potentially triple, back-to-back championship caliber team in Florida? And that's yet to be determined. And of course, the Rangers have to master that challenge first, and that's why we're here. And these goalies have answered the call. And the Rangers, to their credit, as I ramble here a little bit, have done a good job here at the end of the first period, pulling that rope back a little bit. If you're thinking about this as a tug of war, to use the analogy, they tugged just a little bit harder toward the end of the first period, using the power play to their advantage. So they didn't put one past Vasilevsky, but they were able to rebalance this game a little bit. And I hope give themselves a little bit of confidence going into the next period.
Yeah, no doubt about it. They look like a team that has played every single other day here because they've played all 14 games. It's two grueling 7-game series against the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Carolina Hurricanes. So that perfect bracket that Wayne Gretzky had in the first round, he had Carolina Hurricanes winning it all. That's over. Carolina's out. And again, Carolina might have been one of those teams that was missing Freddie Anderson. Antti Ranta looked a little bit tired going into Game 6, Game 7. I'm not blaming it on Antti Ranta. I'm blaming the reason why the Carolina Hurricanes didn't advance. Look, they were 7-1 at home, but what were they on the road? They were 0-6. You just can't do that with that kind of squad there on the other side. And I'd be looking in the mirror really hard if I was them. But Cooper, I'm going to ask you the difficult questions now, and I'm going to ask for some time of reflection because it's just us here in the chat. Calgary is out, and when I was doing that game, Game 7, or not, the elimination Game 5, I should say. My goodness, I'm losing track of time now between Dallas and that. So the Blake Coleman goal. I know you're a fan of the team, but what were your thoughts on the Blake Coleman disallowed goal? I got to know.
I mean, in short, let's put it this way. Let's work backwards from what I think a lot of hockey fans and probably even the players on the teams expected to be. I would argue at minimum a 6, if not a full 7-game series. It seemed like that was just built into the DNA of those two teams clashing for the first time in 31 years in the playoffs. Obviously, that was not the case. So to answer your question specifically, the Blake Coleman goal, and truly trying to put bias aside, having seen the replay now multiple times, that puck was A, going into the net anyway, and B, not redirected with a kicking motion. The skate was moving toward the net, toward the goal line, but the skate blade remained on the ice. He did not recoil the leg and kick it forward to propel the puck into the net to create the goal. So I think that's where I stand on it from a technical standpoint, sort of a rules perspective. I agree with Coleman. He was confused as well. I think a lot of Calgary fans still have flashbacks to 2004, Martin Gelinas. He was the eliminator. He eliminated the Canucks. Unfortunately, John, for you, the Red Wings, and then the Sharks in the Western Conference Final. And many believe that he scored what would have been a go-ahead goal and a potential game-winning goal to take the series against Tampa Bay. So Flames fans have an interesting relationship when it comes to the goal line, the puck, games, series. I would have loved to see, regardless of the fandom for the Flames, I would have loved to see the Flames get that goal, be able to take Game 5, and just continue what was an absolutely bonkers series. It was back and forth. There was moments of great hockey, disciplined hockey, and then there were many, many moments of completely undisciplined hockey. The Flames couldn't hold the lead. McDavid and Draisaitl were just, they were the ones who were on fire. The Flames, ironically, not. So that's where I stand on the Coleman goal. It would have been great to see that series continue, but here we are. I think the teams that remain are the 4 most deserving. I think the Rangers, behind the play of Shesterkin and their leaders like Kreider. I mean, he's the goal scorer tonight. Tampa Bay, because of the overall pedigree of the team and their depth. Edmonton, because of their stars and some unexpected solid play in net. And then Colorado being the closest facsimile in the Western Conference to a Tampa Bay. Just an all-around solid team. Youth, speed, Cale Makar, McKinnon. They have what it takes to lift the cup. And so here we are. That's where we stand. And it's going to be interesting to see who takes this Game 1 between the Rangers and the Lightning.
Yeah, and that's why I brought you on here, Cooper, for one of the many other reasons, because you're an excellent hockey mind, because I was going to ask you the follow-up about Gelinas if you didn't bring it up, but you already did. So there was one other thing that I saw, and I'm not trying to pry at you, but I'm just going to do this while I have you on, because I know you're the Calgary guy. You know all the stuff that I don't know. But in the sense of the GM, I hope I get his name right. Was it Brad Treliving or something like that for the Canucks? He's got some problems here toward the end of the season because you're going to figure out whether or not Gaudreau is going to stay. Was it Majapani as well? Kachuk pretty soon. There is some issues on defense there with Gabranson or Zadorov, whether or not you want to keep all those guys and how you're going to keep everybody else happy while keeping everybody under the cap. Is this a team I still think is going to be very good next year, but is this a team that's going to be in a little bit of transition, or are they going to be able to put a little bit more foundation around what already is a spectacular first line?
Boy, well, you're setting me up. I could talk for 40 minutes straight about all these themes for the Calgary Flames. I think that you highlighted the most important pieces. And you're right, Brad Treliving, yes, GM in Calgary. And he's nearing the 10-year mark now in that position and has done a very solid job. You know, the Flames have had teams that, of course, made the playoffs, but didn't ever seem to really make noise. And I think that was a concern for certainly Calgary media. I think media that focuses on the Canadian teams in general, the Sportsnets of the world. I also think that the Flames, having won their first-round series the way that they did, having to just pepper and pepper and pepper and pepper a goalie for the Dallas Stars that played beyond the level that anyone could have expected and basically turned himself into one of the top goalies in the league over the course of that series. For the Flames to triumph, yes, he's a young goalie. John, you and I, of course, were able to do a number of those games and see those moments firsthand. I think that series victory gives not only the fans but the team some hope that they have what it takes to actually take strides in the playoffs. But those strides can't be taken if you don't have the personnel. And so that's what you were speaking about. Johnny Gaudreau, unrestricted free agent, up for either an extension or, as is his right, to take offers from any other team in the NHL. Matthew Tkachuk, restricted free agent. He's due for a huge extension. Many believe that if they're able to work out a deal, he could potentially be the next captain of the Calgary Flames. Michael Backlund, who is the longest tenured Flame, is also in discussion to take on the C on the sweater. So I'm personally curious to see how that plays out. I think if you lose either of Gaudreau or Tkachuk, the kind of chemistry that they had with Elias Lindholm on that first line this year, that is a massive blow. I don't know if you can recover from it in one season. I think you would see scoring drop off. I think you may see team chemistry drop off. Some of those kind of indescribable X factors that take their hold on a team throughout the course of an 82-game year. I think that you're right about the defense. I believe you only are able to keep one of Goodbranson or Zadorov. Zadorov being my preference, but of course comes at a higher price point based on his success, his age, his stats throughout his career thus far. Goodbranson, not necessarily a journeyman, but not known to, he's not a top pairing guy at this point. Zadorov, if necessary, could step into that role, but is really a solid second pairing defenseman. And inevitably you have other changes too. I think Blake Coleman is still under contract, so that's great to have that leadership and experience remain with the team. But then you have another leader who still, as I was checking hockeyreference.com here, Milan Lucic, the penalty minutes leader in these Stanley Cup playoffs, he may decide to hang up the skates. And he actually played many solid minutes and made great contributions to the team this year. So I'll stop my long run now. I'll take my deep breath and hope that the Flames are able to find a way to keep certainly their most skilled players. John, I'll just be honest. I don't want to imagine a world where the Flames don't have number 13 on their roster. And I agree with those in the Calgary media who say if Johnny Gaudreau chooses to sign another lengthy extension with Calgary, he will play himself into a position, where one day his number will hang from the rafters.
That's all the stuff that I'm hearing as well with Gaudreau. And to your reference to the point, I'm glad they're able to bring all that stuff up. We can get a little deep dive while I had you on here. But they were saying a lot between Gaudreau and Tkachuk that they both really, really want to stay in Calgary and they want to make that happen. And again, if you really want to stay in a certain situation when you have those kind of players, you have to be able to take a little bit of a pay cut. But as you and I know, if we were in that situation too, it is your right to go back and try to get as much money as possible. You cannot blame these players. I know the fans might, but you cannot blame these players if they want to be able to try to pivot in a different course of direction. But again, I think Calgary is an excellent team. We'll see how that ends up happening. My thoughts on this just really quickly here in the sense of Daryl Sutter, I think and again, he's so mild-mannered, I can't really get inside his head. But when you see those 9-6 games and the Edmonton averaging about 5 goals per in that whole series, that up and down kind of action, I don't think really goes along the lines of the 2 cups that were won in LA. So I wonder if there's going to be a little small changes here and there to get Calgary to be a little bit more defensive-minded, still keep those high-caliber offensive players in tow as much as possible. Again, Treleaven's going to have some work to cut out for him to be able to do so, but still work on that defense a little bit. And you know what? Maybe on the other end, I'm not throwing Jacob Markstrom under the bus because he was excellent during the regular season. He led the league in shutouts. Again, we made that point in February. We already had more wins, more shutouts than the Montreal Canadiens had wins. And that's an actual stat in this NHL season at the February mark. But maybe give Markstrom a little bit more of a breather, I would think, and work on that defense a little bit and see what happens with Calgary, because everybody's talking about Vegas here and there. That might happen with Jack Eichel or Stone or things like that, but they have to depend way too much on health. And I think they sacrificed all their picks and some of their talent in the land of sin, and that's going to come back to bite them in the butt. Calgary is going to be here to stay for a little while longer, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think so. And, since we're just taking a glance over at the Pacific Division, I mean, at this point, I think you can safely say that even if there are changes, not if, but when Edmonton's season comes to an end, I mean, heck, they're one of the Final Four, they may lift the cup. And if they do, more power to them. No matter what, you win a Stanley Cup, there'll still be roster changes. That's the way these things go. But Edmonton, you have to assume, would be a playoff team next year as well. You think there would be, unless this rough patch for Vegas gets even rougher, you would think that they would bounce back and potentially make a little more noise more consistently throughout an 82-game season. The Vancouver Canucks are starting to come back and find some more solid play. This year they tried to make that late playoff push, were unable to do so. But again, just like Vegas, you'd think that they would have a bit more sustained success from earlier on in the year. I think they had one 10-game stretch where I'm not sure if they lost 10 in a row, but it was something like losing 9 of 10, or they lost 12 of 14, that basically took them out of contention. You can't assume that will happen again. The Seattles of the world, it's going to be multiple seasons before they contend. But Calgary, with 1 or 2 players staying or going, the Gaudreaus, the Kachucks, the Zadorovs, Dan Vladar, is he going to be counted on to give Markstrom more rest like you talked about? When he's in net, is he able to steal a few games for the Flames? Those are the things that can tip you. I mean, forget hanging a Pacific Division banner in the rafters. The Flames have goals beyond that.
Sure.
And it's going to be very interesting to see if they can keep all the pieces necessary to keep them going in the right direction.
So we're going to get set here. I appreciate it, Cooper, as always. We're going to get set here for the second period of action here momentarily. It's about 19:50 left to go. The puck drop has just occurred, and now this is with the Rangers, as they're going to be attacking left to right in this period. They are in the home blues, and the Tampa Bay Lightning will be attacking right to left in the road whites. Chance now for it to just get picked up in the neutral zone here. The Rangers trying to crisscross and get this one in. Strome trying to play a back pass there for Trouba. He flutters one toward Vasilevsky. Slap shot on the other side. Stopped by Vasilevsky, but the rebound is corralled there by Tampa, and they can try to break this thing out. This is Killorn on a Patrick Maroon. Maroon fires this wide toward the left side of the cage. Picked up now by New York in the own end of Shesterkin. And New York trying to set up now with Kopp. He tries to pass him to an open wing. Zibanejad stayed on the delayed offsides as he is on there now. And again, we have one of those ones we can talk about during a break as well that I want to mention. Picked up now Zibanejad. Panarin trying to play one out in front. Panarin gets it back, puts it in toward the high slot of the left. Keandre Miller lets it go through the screen. Stops. Zibanejad tries to stuff it through. Vasilevsky made 2 big saves. This is still kept on the blue line side with the Rangers. Good pressure there to open the second period for the Blue Shirts. 12-9 on the shot board. It's 1-1. Zibanejad tries to get this back across from a feed out in front. I believe that was Fox. Fox still holds this in now, flutters it in toward Vasilevsky, but it's picked up by Anthony Cirelli. And now here's a chance for Andre Palat toward the left faceoff dot. Plays this out in front. to Hedman. Hedman fires it wide and up and out of play. Now, speaking of the delayed offside, there was one just the other day doing that game with Kel McCarr. And upon second look in second intermission, I was finally able to see on the CBC side that it was an onside goal, that somehow he was able to play the puck ahead where he didn't have possession, and it allowed the delayed offside man to get onside, which allowed for a wrist shot goal. That's not something you normally see too often. So if we get anything like controversy again, like we did yesterday, hopefully we get more angles to look at.
Yeah, that was such an interesting play, and I know there was a lot of controversy, but I guess the best way for folks to think about it is like a mini dump in. The puck was not on the stick blade, and so it was technically dumped in, even though it was only a foot or two into the zone, making it a delayed offside, and that is why the goal was allowed.
Yeah, upon my initial look at it, as we're getting back into the action here, I thought it was offside by a mile, and then when I got the second look, then I understood it. So this goes back into Brandon Hagel now. He plays in behind the cage of Shesterkin. What a setup, but it goes just toward the left. I think that was Kucherov trying to get on the doorstep there, but he just flubbed on the shot. And Ross Colton goes all the way back in his own end to play defense there momentarily. This bounces off the skate blade of someone trying to take a line change there. You don't see that too often. I think it bounced off of Stamkos as they were trying to close the door into the players' bench. My goodness. Hedman has it now. He plays this across the red line. One of the Rangers takes his spill there, and Jacob Trouba. And Keandre Miller is going to go back to play this one. Now with Ryan Reeves. Reeves gets it now, part of the fourth line side. Reeves trying to put this one ahead as New York is trying to chip and chase this one. Berkeley Goudreau gets it back and set up there. Slap shot one-timer goes just wide. It was Schneider not let it go off the third line defense there. So it's going to be Schneider and Braun on the ice in the third line defense and now wrapped around the red line where the Lightning can try to get back in there. This has been a good pressure here by the New York Rangers early in the second period. And I know I've said that a couple times already, but it's one of these situations I want to make note of. The Rangers have not been outscored in any period except overtime. So they play really good whenever they can here. They got elite level goaltending to do so. Picked up across the blue line now. Fox gets it back to Panarin. Panarin trying to work his way across the red. Has it toward the right faceoff dot. An open pass toward the left dot. And now a short angle shot gets stopped and held by Vasilevsky, courtesy of Ryan Strome.
John, you made a great point just a minute ago. I have loved what I've seen from the Rangers here early on. Something you and I mentioned several minutes ago as we worked our way through the first intermission. There was a bit of momentum built by New York using that late power play that they had at the end of the first period. Now, again, obviously the score is still tied. They did not put one past Vasilevsky, but they built a little confidence. They built a little bit of push, and that push has continued here in the second period. A player that I'm going to keep my eye on for New York, Jacob Trouba. I've really liked his game.
Yeah, no doubt about that now. The Rangers have possession of this thing in behind the cage as it's been very noticeable between Trouba and Fox. Zibanejad gets it back to Fox now and toward the right side of the blue line, trying to play this across. Zibanejad comes all the way back to pick this up. Nick Panarin and fell down in behind the net. This is still trying to get worked through by Kucherov and Hedman trying to find this thing. Nice slip ahead by the Rangers to just get a shot on there behind the net. And now one of the Rangers falls down. 2-on-1 Palat cross pass. And the attempt goes wide. Andre Palat had a chance, but he was just in a little too tight. And Shesterkin didn't have to make the save there. 15-20 left to go in the second period. Trouba lets it go. Off the ping pong shot off the back of the left side of the cage. And now Kucherov just trying to get this down here. Picked up now by Alex Killorn. Nice work to alert through two different checks, but he's by himself and behind the goal cage. He's going to need some help. Killorn still found it, though. This is picked up now by McDonough. Tries to find Palat. Palat still holding with Hagel off the backhand side. Ross Colton gets dumped out in front of the net. Hagel, one of the long forecheckers, trying to help here Tampa to keep this one. Killorn keeps it alive on the blue line side, but the backhand is fluttered, intercepted by Killorn one more time. He's been like a hyena on hamburger meat. He's all over the ice right now. Chance for McDonough. Cross pass here for Eric Chernak and Bogosian. Bogosian has it now. Tried to put this out in front. This still back into the blue line here with Tampa. and they're going to try to just ring this around one more time. Hagel bothering Panarin. Panarin can't find the puck, and now the Rangers finally get it with Strome as they can get this out of their own end and take a change. That was some good pressure there by Tampa as they're trying to turn that turnstile a little bit tighter. Shesterkin plays this one off the goal crease. Now this goes in toward the left out where the blue shirts have it now. Keandre Miller, it's 1-on-3, trying to skate through. He found it. Keandre Miller needs some help now. It's 1-on-4. He tried to just center a pass out there to Barclay Goodrow, but nobody was home. And this goes back across the red line now where the Rangers can reset this thing. Vasilevsky calmly plays this one back out to the Lightning to get a breakout started here. Maroon stayed on side, but I don't know where the pass was going. I thought that was Corey Perry trying to find Maroon. This could be something here for a counterattack. Hedl, that's a shot go. Glove save. The rebound was given up by Vasilevsky, but Tampa finds it. Hagel gets knocked off the puck, and a race for it between Braun and Cirelli. Picked up there by Tampa momentarily. Cirelli able to play this to an open defensive side. McDonough has a rebound. Bounce right out in front of him. It goes loose to the high slot. And if Tampa had anybody to take a shot at that, Shesterkin would have had to have been on guard. 13 minutes left to go in the second period. This is a chance for Kucherov off the forecheck. Picked up now by the blue shirts. They're stuck in toward the right faceoff dot as McDonough is trying to find this one. And now this goes back. Schneider almost lost it. And Lafreniere comes all the way back to help. Schneider's going to get this back one more time from Braun and play this one down the ice where it finds Vasilevsky. He's going to take no chances and hold. 12:40 left.
Wow, John, a lot of great action here. Solid back and forth play by both teams. Both goalies getting called into action. Both goalies making some stops. And of course, I'm going to have to send an email apologizing to Jacob Trouba because I broadcaster cursed him about 10 seconds after I mentioned his name and stated that I liked his game. He blows a tire in the neutral zone, and the Lightning come in 2-on-1 with their latest, most recent best chance to tie this thing. And actually, on the ESPN feed, I'm getting a replay of it right now as I describe it. And a great attempt there to cross that for a shot. But, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm seeing it here. Trouba just bit it in the neutral zone near the red line. And Tampa Bay couldn't get through the back check. So, again, the Rangers actually turn a negative into a positive. Trouba comes back diving, almost slashes Cirelli as he looks for Palat. And Vetrano able to swat the pass out of the air. Great back check.
Yeah, it's one of those situations, Cooper, like you're saying, you could be down or not out. And Frank Vetrano has been a really good pickup for the Rangers since coming over from the Florida Panthers. And he's the one that's still alive as Tampa made quick work of the Panthers, sweeping them 4-0. Tampa now in on this puck and behind the cage of Shesterkin, picked up by Mika Zibanejad. Mika Zibanejad gets it and it gets played off the kick play. Adam Fox, nice pass ahead. Fox still trying to find this thing here. Gets set up there for Kreider. I believe that might have been Kreider's goal, or that was Frank Vetrano. So we were just talking about Vetrano. He just lets one go. Somehow Fox found this thing in between the skate blades, picks it up. Vetrano lets the rifle go. It's 2-1 Rangers.
My goodness. Unbelievable shot by Vetrano. I would say it was seeing eye, but Vasilevsky wasn't really screened. Vetrano just way up in the high slot above the circles, decides to let that left-handed wrister go, and he goes bar down and in.
Oh.
It's 2-1 Rangers, and on the ESPN side, I'm getting a look at how this developed here. So the Rangers take it out of their own zone, go bang, bang, 2 passes through the neutral zone, and then things get mixed up in the offensive zone. The defense, including Stamkos, actually had a chance to get set. I don't think, John, they were really able to find where that bouncing puck ended up, and it was just sitting on a tee for Vetrano, and he made no mistake.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Cooper. It was one of those ones where it was bouncing in between the stick blade of Fox. They couldn't find it, and nobody could really get set up there. And to your credit, man, Vetrano, what a shot. Here comes the other end for Tampa. What a stop by Shesterkin. Edmund with a bit, another rebound. And this goes back to Artemi Panarin, a 2-on-1 the other way. Cross pass. Oh, it goes just wide, or did Vasilevsky get that big leg up there off the splits of Strome? If you can help me with that one, it'd be much appreciated, Cooper.
Okay, I am just trying to gather myself here. We just saw Shesterkin stoned the the Tampa Bay Lightning, the reigning back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, he just bricked them off twice. He comes out of the crease. Of course, now on the ESPN feed, we're seeing that one shot went off the iron. But then at the other end, was I looking at Dominic Hasek? Vasilevsky stacks the pads and sends it up into the netting to make the save. These are the goaltenders we expected to see, and we're seeing them early and often. Great offensive chances both ways. John, this is the kind of hockey we were hoping to see, and we were getting it from the Rangers and Tampa Bay.
When you get to watch two goalies like this, or listen, look, I might be butchering some of these calls, so I apologize. The first one went off the post. Making that second one, stacking the pads, my goodness, what a save there on both sides. Shesterkin right in the middle of the slot, Vasilevsky stacking the pads. And I did see shades of Dominic Hasek on that one. That was a great call, Cooper. My goodness, let me just get a quick reset here of this second period goal. It was Frank Vatrano, Adam Fox with a nice outlet there. It got stuck in between the skate blades of Fox, but at 7:50, Frank Vatrano with the rifle made it 2-1. And again, Florida could have really used Frank Vatrano in that series, but there wasn't a lot of goals scored for the Florida Panthers.
You used the right phrase, quick work. Yes, the Panthers were light work, and they, even though they have the President's Trophy, they are sitting at home either shining up the golf clubs or maybe watching this game to watch their old pal Frank just snipe one past one of the top goaltenders in hockey. That was an absolutely beautiful shot up over the blocker, and like I said before, basically goes bar, double bar. He went right off the corner where the crossbar meets the iron post and sends it into the net. 2-1 Rangers with 11:39 here to go in the second. MSG lit up in blue and red, as it should be in New York. We got ourselves a hockey game.
Not to just sit and downplay the Florida Panthers, but I want to make this note really quickly for those listening. 2-1 is their scoreline right now in favor of the Rangers. That's a total of 3 goals. The Panthers scored a total of 3 goals in the series against Tampa. They were shut down big time there. 13-3. So if that tells you anything, President's Trophy curse and all that, the Florida Panthers, for as good as they are, man, oh man. So New York on the other side, they have 18 shots. They have 2 goals, courtesy of Chris Kreider and Frank Vatrano. Andre Vasilevsky with the stone eyes looking on the other side, and Igor Shesterkin. When you're just looking at those two guys, it looks like you're looking at death if you're an offensive player as far as some of these chances, but they have been utterly brilliant, and I don't say that lightly. Cirelli able to find this one now as this goes to Andre Palat. Nice setup there. Stamkos spinning, lets it go, another rebound, and Tampa scores! What a play by Steven Stamkos to just keep the body work alive. And I believe he set up Andre Palat off the rebound. How strong do you have to be when there's cross-check and work all over you to still hold off the backhand, get a shot? Palat finds it. It is 2-2 now.
Classic offensive hockey, especially classic playoff hockey. Get the puck to the net however you can, and good things can happen. And when your players are giving extra effort, good things will happen. As we are getting a look on the ESPN feed here to see if Cirelli was onside, and it looks to be potentially controversial. I'm going to say that this is a good goal, but man, let's take a look at that backhand shot pass attempt, and then Cirelli is at the doorstep, and Andre Palat coming through as the third man in. He's able to put in the rebound to tie this game. That's what happens when you get bodies to the crease. Tampa Bay makes no mistake after having come close a couple times prior.
Cooper, that was a sick goal as we're back underway now. It is 2-2. It's 19-17 on the shot board in favor of the Rangers with Stamkos. He turns a beauty play, and Andre Palat gets the tire at the 8:32 mark of the second period. Now this is in the defensive zone of the Rangers, trying to get something going here. Again, Tampa might have taken a couple counter punches, but they have answered, as they always do. 10:50 left to go in this second period. This is in behind the end of the Lightning, and now stuck across the red line. We get a little bit of a neutral zone battle here. Puck possession is trying to be found. This is Fox trying to play this around for Philip Hedl. Hedl's got it now. He's going to leave it there for Lindgren, and Lindgren is going to get across the red line. He's going to flutter this one in. somehow stays with the Rangers toward the left faceoff dot, trying to get played out in front, but instead went behind the net. Could have been open there for Lindgren if they wanted it, but New York didn't find it there. This goes across the blue line now, picked up now by the Rangers as they get Alexei Lafreniere trying to turn on the Jets toward the left faceoff dot. He gets held off the backhand. Sorelli cut him off. Thrown in now by Trouba as this goes back into the captain, Steven Stamkos. Another one of those career high seasons, over 100 points. Shot goes just wide of Vasilevsky, high off the glass, and New York can try to settle in. Hedl tries to play this one across for Capo Kakko in behind the cage. Kakko fought him on center, scores! What a great puck possession there by the New York Rangers, and Philip Hedl gives the Rangers a 3-2 lead. Now we are seeing some world-class offense, and this isn't one of those situations where I blame the goaltenders. You just can't stop something like that, Cooper.
John, your best goal call of the playoffs, I would say. That is passion and energy right there, and that is what the Rangers are displaying as well. Look, I watched a lot of Flames games this year, but dare I say it, I'm having flashbacks to Johnny Gaudreau working behind the net and feeding his line mates Matthew Tkachuk and Elias Lindholm. Beautiful stick work, freezes two defenders on either side of Vasilevsky, sends it out, and Hedl absolutely unleashes. He goes where the goalie isn't. It's that simple. Vasilevsky looking to his right over the shoulder. He fires that left-handed shot back to his right. So the opposite direction, finds the net. 3-2 Rangers. This is the kind of performance you need when you're going up against the defending champions. You got to answer big. You got to answer fast. And they did just that.
Every single goal that's going to cross right now, I'm getting a little bit more excited on this call, and I already was pretty amped to have you with me on it, Cooper. But if those are the kind of goals that you have to be able to score against these world-class goaltenders, then sign me up, because this has been terrific right now. It's 3-2. The Rangers have the lead. It's 15-15 on the hit board as well. So Shesterkin plays this out of the goal crease, and once gets intercepted by Tampa, and now played in toward the right dot, kept in there by McDonough. Here's a chance for Belmar, and it goes just wide. The former Vegas Golden Knight. Belmar tries to pick this one up now. He's usually on the fourth line, and that's what's out there right now. And this goes back to Braun. Braun trying to set this up with Schneider. Schneider got knocked off the puck, and this goes back in behind the big cat, where McDonough can get some stuff set up here for Tampa. Trying to get this across the red line, trying to get a breakout pass for Stamkos, but he was offside. They're going to play this, and now an egregious turnover. Zibanejad and Vasilevsky bails them out with a flashy glove save there. 8:42 left to go in the second.
Ooh, let's make no mistake right there. That shot was from a decent distance, but Vasilevsky still had to be very focused.
Yes.
He flashes the leather, snags that wrister, and keeps this a one-goal game. But boy, oh boy, the Rangers have shown they can score in multiple ways, and Tampa Bay Lightning are going to have to keep looking for rebounds. One stat I want to give credit to the folks at ESPN. I saw a great stat on the screen, 3.93. What could I be referencing, you ask? Well, it may not sound like it, but the Rangers led in a category you don't want to lead in the NHL, 3.93 rebound shot attempts per game in the regular season. That was most in the NHL, and that was New York. So if Shesterkin has one knock against him, statistically speaking, it's giving up rebounds that are available for a shot. So that might be the way Tampa Bay ties this game and then regains the lead.
Another one of those, to your point, because I have it in front of me, New York averages about 32.4 shots for, 38.9 shots against. So if you have those rebounds that Shesterkin's given up, and maybe one of those along those lines, you're going to go down the ice and try to break out because you think Shesterkin's going to save everything. So you cannot have that situation against Tampa Bay. Yes, I know they're in the lead right now with 3-2, but as you said, Cooper, you make no mistake about it. Tampa can strike at any single given time. So you have to make sure that your defense is where they're supposed to be. And both these teams have to make sure, because regardless of world-class goaltending or not, there are some really good forwards that we've seen right now and some excellent puck possession. This has been some great goals. Again, Philip Hedl, I think, is on a streak right now. He's got I think 5 goals in the last 3 games. He's got a 6 right now. He's at the latest mark at the 10:09 mark.
That's what you need in the Stanley Cup playoffs. You need those players who aren't household names to come through. And a player like Hedl is doing the job, just doing the work, finding the net, and working hard. That's what I was referencing with Jacob Trouba earlier. Obviously, he's one of the top defensemen for New York, but seeing that extra effort being given, I think that's in part obviously built on top of the skill and the chemistry that the Rangers have shown. That extra effort is why the Rangers hold this 3-2 lead.
Checking back into the official action now. Zibanejad wins the draw. Goes in the high slot to Adam Fox. It goes just toward the left now. This is in the left faceoff down. One of the Rangers got absolutely sandwiched there on the right side of the boards. I think it was 3 Lightning to 1 Ranger. And this goes all the way back to Fox. And Fox going to try to reset this thing back down the ice. And now this is picked up by Eric Chernak. Again, he's as tall as a tree, just like Victor Hedman. So you got plenty of size and plenty of hitting on Tampa Bay. They can kind of do it any way they like. Anthony Cirelli toward the left faceoff dot. A slap shot there by Hedman went high and wide, but it pinballed back. McDonough, as the lines got split up there for John Cooper toward the defensive side. Hedman lets another one go. Fox trying to find it. Nice pinch in there by Zach Bogosian. Stick breaks in half. Lafreniere plays it with the glove, and he's going to need to go for a change. Here's a chance for Cirelli. Lets a shot go into the screen. Shesterkin didn't know where it was momentarily. It bounced out in front. Here comes Tampa again. McDonough spinning toward the left dot. Holds it back off the back end. Now faces up. And it's left across the blue line. Bogosian tries to get this back out. Kucherov lost it. And here's a chance now for Keandre Miller. He's just going to flutter this one in toward the red line. And Miller is going to try to get around Bogosian. Here's a chance for a battle of sticks between Tampa and New York and see who emerges with this thing. It's Hedman. Now it's a 2-on-1. Lord, beautiful saucer. Backhand, forehand, stop by Shesterkin. That was a great setup there, but Igor made the save. 7 minutes left to go now in the second stanza. Picked up now by the defensive side of things. Hedl tried to center one up. It got flubbed by Strome. And then Hedl trying to get back to this thing. Nick Paul. It's a 1-on-3. He's going to try to chip and chase this one in the first period. He made a gorgeous play for a great opportunity that was denied. Kucherov finds it now off the backhand. He's dangerous as it goes around to Maroon. And now back around for Tampa. Now picked up by New York. It is a 2-on-2. New York trying to take their time here with Andrew Kopp. Get this one around the kick plate as it's held off. Ryan Strome got bodied off by Sergachev. Open wing side. Kopp was open. He flubbed on the initial attempt, and that's what allowed Vasilevsky to recover. This goes back in toward the defensive side. Here's a chance. Panarin sets it up out in front, and Fox couldn't find it. New York had all kinds of bodies in front of Vasilevsky, but unfortunately for the Blue Shirts, they couldn't get an opportunity there. Cal Foote has it now as he gets bodied off the puck. Bellemare has to come and try to help. Good work there by Braun and Schneider on the third line defense. Fox, who's also just coming out there as well. He's been out there for a while now. It's been a couple of minutes. And this goes back to Gaudreau. Gaudreau tried to find Kreider, but he played it ahead for Fox instead. And now Fox goes off the stick of Kreider. Goes back around toward the right dot, and now the Lightning can try to get to this thing, but it's turned over. Here's some nice work here by Capo Caco. He's going to spin this around the kick plate. Tampa having a tough time trying to get out of their own end right now. Sergachev can't get off the ice. He's at a minute 45 right now with 5:15 left to go in the second. Picked up now by the Rangers. Open ice pass gets deflected there nicely with an active stick, and here's Trouba. Trouba now under the red line. He gets sandwiched as this goes back to the Rangers. There was nobody on the left side faceoff dot for Tampa. They look a little gassed here. Slap shot blocked out in front. Rangers trying to find this thing. Tampa just trying to get it out, and this bounced back toward the left dot. Series of shots by New York, but it's going to the left of the post. Picked up now in toward the high slot as this is spun around. Lafreniere's got it now. Tampa is really gassed. That diamond shape is not going to hold forever. Shot saved there by Vasilevsky. Hedl, now to Lafreniere. This feels like a power play right now. 4:30 left to go in the second. Lafreniere lets it go from the high side blue line. New York still with this thing. I'm running out of breath just like Tampa is. They can't get it out. Nice keep in by Fox. Fox still skating with it in the high slot. A chance for Lafreniere. Set up one more time. Hedl scores! What a sequence there for the Rangers. That could be one of the best playoff goals I've ever seen. 4:17 left to go in the second. Hedl has his second. Cooper, that was extraordinary.
John, this is absolutely outstanding hockey. That is some of the best passing, effort, and skill I have seen put together on a single shift. I agree with you. Potentially ever. Certainly in the playoffs, certainly in the conference finals. Adam Fox gets a gold star, jumps up off of the ice, off both skates off the ground, keeps that puck in with his mitt, and then gets that pass over to one face-off dot. They go side to side, and it is in the back of the net. Heedle is on a heater. Pardon the pun. That's the only way to describe it. And listen, credit to number 88 in the crease for Tampa Bay. He got a shoulder to that shot. He came across to what was an open, gaping net. He almost kept it out, but the Rangers would not be denied. That was over a minute of zone time. What incredible play by the Blue Shirts. They now have a 4-2 lead. Absolutely outstanding technical hockey right there.
Cooper, I am so ecstatic to have you on the broadcast there, because without your explanation, I think my call probably would have been a little bit suspect, because I'm telling you, that was one of the best goals I think I'd ever seen. In terms of, okay, high skill and things like that, we can knock that aside. But you know what it's all about, and as we've talked about through it, it's puck possession. It's attention to detail. It's all the guys being in the correct position between dot to dot. You have your two defenders in the back. You have forwards pinching them when they need to go, defensemen pinching when they need to go. New York put on an absolute clinic there. When we talked about certain situations that New York needed to have, that was a world-class shift. They're up 4-2. This game is not over by any stretch of the imagination. But if they can keep Tampa hemmed in like that, that is incredible. Because again, New York has been playing back-to-back every other day. They played all 14 games. Tampa Bay's had 9 days rest, and they made Tampa Bay look tired on that thrilling sequence.
The New York Rangers coaching staff needs to take that sequence frame by frame, put each one of those in literal frames. They need to get their digital printer full of ink, print out every single one of those moments in that sequence, print it out, put it on a wall. It is truly art. What New York did right there, they can look back on at any moment that they are having a bit of struggle, a bit of doubt. Because listen, Tampa Bay's Tampa Bay. They're going to push back. They're a strong squad. But the Rangers have just shown they have what it takes to break this team down and score when they need to score. That was dominant, and I can't wait to watch that replay. This was just an incredible sequence by the Rangers.
So as we set up here with the official numbers, Shesterkin has made 17 of 19 saves. Vasilevsky's made 19 of 23. And you know what? It has Vasilevsky listed right now as 4 goals against. Well, you might as well make that 2, because 2 of these goals that the Rangers have scored between that previous sequence and the Frank Vatrano shot was absolutely unstoppable. And that's courtesy of the Rangers right now. As we're back underneath the action, Heedle has scored back-to-back goals. Maybe he can get the national hat trick as the Rangers have this in the offensive zone one more time. Again, that little bit of break hopefully was good there for Tampa, because they need it, because the Rangers are just swarming all over them right now. Breakout pass trying to find Kucherov, and that was a great back skate there by New York to cut it off. 3:35 left to go in this second period. It is 4-2 Rangers. And every single one of these goals have been absolutely spectacular. There is no other words to use. So now this goes back in behind the cage where Tampa has this now. Nick Paul being worked over by 4 different blue shirts. Alex Killorn trying to join in off support as the puck is just stuck in between skates and blades. Who's going to emerge with it? It's still working toward the left face-off dot now, and New York finally has this thing as the Rangers can try to get this out of their own zone. Fox tried to play this out ahead, and now finally goes to Zach Bogosian. He's going to reset this with Ross Colton. He's going to be the first to get to it now, as he's got the fresh legs, as his bounces off of Lafreniere. Colton centered out in front, and what a stop by Shesterkin as he robbed Kucherov again.
John, what do we say here? This is incredible play at both ends of the ice by the home squad here. And this is something we talked about, John, when you and I worked the Calgary-Dallas series in the first round. Jacob Markstrom, the 1A goaltender for the Flames, he would have stretches of the game when the Flames would be peppering the Stars with shots, and he would just be basically a spectator. So this is what we're seeing with Shesterkin. Now, of course, he's been called into action. He's had to make many stops in this game so far, as we're inside 3 minutes to go here in the second period. But Shesterkin hadn't really faced a decent shot in about an 8 or 9 minute stretch of this period, and comes into play in a major way, positions himself perfectly outside of the blue paint to make the stop. Still 4-2.
We got 2:40 left to go in the second period. The Lightning are in a position where they kind of really need the next goal here. I will say that. It's 4-2, 2:35 left to go in the second. This goes in between Hedman and Ruda as Tampa Bay is trying to transition back into the neutral zone now across the red. Hedman plays this one across. Here's a chance for Palat as you try to get out in front. Ross Colton's going to join and try to help out here for Tampa. Let's go Rangers chance at MSG. This goes back into the high slide of the blue line where it finds Ruda. And Ruda will get this one back into the left faceoff dot. Now in behind Gretzky's office, but Tampa Bay needs some help here. Here's a chance for Hagel. Nice keep in there by Ruda. Edmonds got it now as he spins it toward an opening behind the net. Ruda still pinched in. So the defenseman's had to keep a lot of work in there right now as it's across the red line with a lot of active sticks and skate blades. Now Keandre Miller finally emerges with this thing as New York gets it out of their zone. Keandre Miller gets it into an open red line side toward the left faceoff dot, and this goes back to big Victor Hedman. He plays this one across to Andre Palat. He gets across the red line now, but it's 1-on-4. He's going to need some help here. Spins up and turns around, tries to keep it in there as McDonough, tried to play it around to Palat, and now Anthony Cirelli has this thing. Anthony Cirelli now leaves it there for McDonough, and I think the slap shot rebound was given up by Shesterkin, and now this goes back down the ice where this goes to McDonough. So McDonough is playing against his former team right now. He's on the Tampa side. He was a really good defender for the Rangers. He's a really good defender for Tampa right now. McDonough gets it one more time from Zach Bogosian as we're down to a minute left to go here in this second period. This has been an absolute thriller of a contest. This goes back in now for Alexei Lafreniere. Kako trying to get this one back out as everybody's trying to join on the back end to help New York get that out of their own zone. And that's what you love to see. The attention to detail on both sides for the Rangers in Tampa, especially for the Rangers, though, has been excellent. 16-10 on the shot board just in the second period alone, and 42-40 on the shot attempts favoring the Rangers. Down to 30 seconds left to go. Keandre Miller gets this one out, and the Rangers are trying to transition here. Here's a chance for Lindgren and Hedel. Hedel still working through, looking for a natural hat trick, if you will. You don't see too many of those anymore. As this is played around, back to Hedel. Hedel gets it back in behind the net. Hedel gets a backhand pass. It gets intercepted, and now the Lightning have about 5 seconds to work with in a transition. Killorn plays this out to Paul, but it's going to be called offsides, and we're pretty much going to end the second period at 4-2.
Credit where it's due. You don't see the natural hat tricks too often anymore unless you're an Oilers or a Flames fan. You're smiling if you're an Oilers fan, and you are crying if you're a Flames fan. Evander Kane had a natural hat trick in the Battle of Alberta. I think it might have been the closeout game of the series or game 4. But here we are with 4.5 seconds to play here in the second period, and New York has looked good from the outset. John, we can certainly talk about this, and you can let me know if you agree. The Rangers brought momentum into this period, and they are leaving this period with so much more. They have just built this thing and looked great doing so.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Cooper. We're going to get the one last draw here. There isn't anything I can argue with that, but I'm just going to make the obvious point that you and I are already thinking about. Keep that same level of sustainability and play and effort, because John Cooper knows what he's got in his squad. New York needs to play that same way in this third, and they have a good chance of taking this game 1 at MSG.
Yes, they do. So we reached the end of the second. 4-2 Rangers. Shesterkin making some great saves to keep it that way in the latter portion of the period. And Vasilevsky, to his credit, he really hasn't been beaten, so to speak. The Rangers have found the net. They've made the opportunities. They've created them for themselves. But Vasilevsky has still shown all the skill in the world that we know he possesses. It'll be interesting to see if Tampa Bay can bounce back. You'd like to see them make a real push in the first 5 minutes of the third and try to get one back early, so this can really be a contest down the stretch.
Absolutely, Cooper. If you don't mind, I'm going to go downstairs and go grab some water real quick before we start for the third period. So if you want to hang tight for a second, you don't have to talk if you don't want to, but I'll be right back.
You got it. Please do. I'm going to take a quick break and grab some water as well, and we'll get back on this in a minute.
All right, everybody. I appreciate your patience. I am back. I'm going to get these goals typed up in here for the story. There was a lot of them in this second period, so we'll get that going a little bit.
Yes, indeed. And John, just want to let you know, I will still be with you here. I'm just taking a bit of an extended break. I'll be back certainly in time for the beginning of the third period. So stay in the driver's seat there, and I will hop back in shotgun in just a minute.
Absolutely.
But Cooper said after the first game of round one, we made it easy. That takes too long. Kind of doesn't feel that way tonight. It doesn't feel like they're mailing it in or they're not invested. What's your take on that?
I mean, I give Tampa all the credit in the world because we showed clips in the first intermission. They're doing the best to bring the pace there. They're getting the rushes. To be honest, that Selesky's been pretty good.
Yeah,
He made a lot of saves. The Rangers, mostly the kid line, has really been dominant and coming off the backs of that game 7, they haven't turned it down in 3. They've been great.
Well, at the beginning of the game, we talked about the Rangers, the talent, but it's their identity and it's how hard they compete. They want to challenge you every shift.
I just think if you look at Carolina playing the New York Times, tonight the Rangers are doing the pinning in on Tampa. And it's impressive.
It is impressive. Yeah, it's wired building and Titamont. Let's check in with Titamont.
They're making a good comparison on the CBC side. I want to just relay this one. So they were saying that Carolina was doing some hemming in of the Rangers, but they couldn't be able to score on their opportunities. Well, New York's also hemming in Tampa Bay and also converting on a lot of opportunities there, and that's why they're up 4-2 after 2. I'm going to get the scoring breakdown here in a moment.
Like, is it adrenaline right now because you've got these emotional 2 7-game series, physical series, and here you are and still running pretty full?
Yeah, absolutely. Roller coaster for sure. Get your rest on days off and get back to it on Mondays. We're a resilient group, continue to go at it. I'm looking forward to this one for sure.
All right, we miss you, Canada, though.
Thanks, guys. Very well. Thank you, David. 3 shots on goal for Tyler Monk. So the New York Rangers have outshot Tampa 25-22. You see Mark Messier and his leadership award. That's where you are.
Hey fans, your tweet could become etched in history of the Hockey Hall of Fame. Tweet the hashtag Stanley Tweets and tell us what winning a Stanley Cup would mean to you.
Hey, Free, just got to the office. Source goes.
I think we need to chat with Taylor before the podcast.
Great, I'll dial him in on his cell from Microsoft Teams.
Jeff Merrick, what's going on?
Hey, Taylor, it's me and Elliot.
Just want to check some details with you.
Sure, no problem.
That was easy. Collaborating on Microsoft Teams allows us to reach anyone, almost anywhere.
Make the shift to Microsoft Teams today with Rogers for Business, the only Canadian provider of Operator Connect.
In Canada, we have a taste for cold. Like creamy cool, Hershey's chocolate syrup, mixed with graham cracker crumble, and finished with marshmallow whipped topping. For that delicious cold you crave. New Hershey's S'mores Ice Cap. It's time for Tim's. Any car can take you first, but mine does so much more. It keeps me connected to the things I like. Heading in the right direction. And looking good. When the unexpected happens, it helps protect me. That's why it's more than just a phone. Your mantra, stay connected and protected.
Sit. Oh, guys, that was not good.
Yep, that's a Johnsonville moment. Get ready for a new season of strays. Just follow on CBC and CBC Gym. It's the classic classic versus USA. Take your report and quickly slowly home. Saturday, 4:30 on CBC and CBC Gym. Celebrating 70 years on the road with the Queen Husband Jubilee. Join CBC for live coverage from London. Watch the splendor of the traditional military parade celebrating Her Majesty's birthday. Trooping with Hope, Thursday 5 a.m. Eastern.
Hello there, I'm Andrew Chang. We will get you back to hockey in just a moment. First, a look at what we're working on tonight for the National.
Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes.
Johnny Depp has won his defamation case against ex-wife Amber Heard. Depp has sued Heard for $50 million, saying she defamed him by accusing him of domestic abuse in a 2018 Washington Post op-ed. He said it cost him lucrative Hollywood contracts. He was awarded $15 million. And London is decked out tonight. Just hours from now, the Queen's Platinum Jubilee gets underway. 4 days of events to mark 70 years of service, an unprecedented milestone for the British Empire. During the playoffs, you can always find us on CBC News Network and CBC Gem every hour starting at 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you after the game. Mark Messier, the only captain to lead two different franchises to the promised land, the Stanley Cup. That is Leadership Times Square. His award this year for leadership on and off the ice goes to Hans Ziegler.
Mark Messier, NHL Leadership Award. Jay Kopitar. For 16 seasons, Kopitar has been a pillar of the Los Angeles Kings, winning 2 Stanley Cups and serving as captain since 2016. Kopitar once again led the Kings in scoring this season. He and Gordie Howe are the only players in NHL history to lead the same team in points at least 14 times.
Okay, so I think I got it all together now. So let's get a little bit of a recap here. So in the second period, we're going to start. It was 1-1 after 1. Frank Petrano scored at 7:50. It was Adam Fox with a great entry, and it got sticked away a couple times. Fox was able to find it in between the skate blade. It found Petrano, and he went double bar down with one of the most unreal shots you'll ever hear and see. 2-1 Rangers lead at the 7:50 mark. Palat quickly counters less than a minute after from Stamkos and Mikhail Sergachev. Nice setup there out in front. No chance for Shesterkin to be able to make the save. And then the same thing at the 10:09 mark, but courtesy of Filipino from Capocacco and Alexei Lafreniere. Good setup there behind the net. Was able to do some good work, and it found Hedl for an open shot. But then the 15:43 mark of the second period. If you're hearing, listening, watching any of this at some point, wherever you are, again, it's probably just me and Cooper, but still, I got to make this point. This was one of the best goals you will ever see. It's not in terms of just absolute unreal talent, but the attention to detail as far as possession, where to be on the ice, support from forward, support from defensemen. Filipino gets one from Keandre Miller and Alexei Lafreniere in a sequence that lasted about 2 minutes, and it kept Tampa on their toes. They were so gassed to the point where they just could not get off the ice. Hedl scores again at the 15:43 mark. It looks to be 4-2 Rangers after 2. So what's going to happen in this third period? Well, Tampa Bay is usually one of those teams in the third period that come out and they do some damage as well. And I got some of these numbers out in front of me. So for Tampa, their splits in the third period are 15-11. So it's going to have to be a little bit better because they're already down 2. But there's one of those ones that can go out there and get the job done at any given moment. Tampa's been in this situation because they've won 10 straight playoff series. They know what to do in the regular season. It doesn't matter where they finish. Doesn't matter that you're starting 3 straight series on the road. You're going to find a way to get this done. On the other end, you have Igor Shesterkin, who just like Vasilevsky, even though Shesterkin's only given up 2, Vasilevsky's given up 4, and dare I say, maybe Vasilevsky probably only gives up 2 because a couple of those were unstoppable. I mean, Vasilevsky's been terrific in this game, just like Shesterkin. But what's really, really impressed me with the Rangers was their ability to be able to initiate on offense. Now, it's really kind of kicked into play within games 6 and 7 against Carolina, where they really kind of just found that offense. Remember, Carolina was already up 2-0 in the series previous. The New York Rangers, and the Rangers had just 1 goal in 2 games. And now all of a sudden they found their goals. Well, it's always been said by the Rangers and their fans, and not only just because of Shesterkin, but you can throw Adam Fox, Lindgren, Schubra, Keandre Miller, the high-quality defense, the attention to detail for Mika Zibanejad, Chris Kreider, some good, excellent two-way forwards that can score and defend, play a good 200-foot game. But the Rangers have had the better of opportunities. They've come out like this game one's actually mattered. And it's one of those situations where, again, they've played every other day. Tampa's had 9 days off. It might be one of those situations, but you cannot tell me from what we saw in that second period when Cooper comes back. I'm sure he can attest to this when we get to the third and get a little bit longer break for him. But you cannot tell me after watching 2 periods of play that the Rangers are not the better team in this contest. They are playing terrific hockey. But like I said, it's going to come down to the Rangers giving that same type of effort in the third period. Look, I understand how predictable that sounds, but the Rangers are playing exemplary. There's no doubt about it. They have to be able to play this way against a team that's been there and done that before. They've won 10 straight series for a reason. And if you have to score all of these types of world-class goals just to get past Vasilevsky, that could be scary. But right now, that's what they're doing, and that's why they're up 4-2.
Well, 4-2 lead entering the third period here in Game 1 of the East Final. Louis, so far it's been full of this kid line. And we're going to talk about that more. They certainly are the nickname, the kid line. And I think you've got a good game coming because earlier today, you received the Doctor of Law from your alma mater, Mount Holly University. So you are now a doctor.
So we're going to get back into official action here in a moment. The CDC side was just showing the kid line, and that is the third line right now for the New York Rangers. And let me get that for you here. So it's Filipino, Alexei Lafreniere, and Capo Caco. And again, they are doing extraordinary damage right now. A couple of those goals that just happened in the second period for Hedel himself were absolutely extraordinary. And now, I've said this many times on the New York Rangers side with Gerard Gallant, picked up there from Vegas. That makes a lot of sense. And then you get the ping pong ball lottery bounce from the COVID years. You get Lafreniere, you give him some excellent experience, and all of a sudden the Rangers are supposed to be rebuilding a couple of years ago, are now back into a driver's seat where they're the final four right now, and they have a 4-2 lead at home against the Tampa Bay Lightning to start this third period. So the Lightning now have the puck, are trying to get around to Alex Killorn as his bounces across the red line, intercepted their Cop, trying to play it across Panarin, scores! And right to begin this third period, the Rangers do not take their foot off the gas. Vasilevsky, no chance on earth to make the save. McDonough with the turnover, and again, that's against his former team. Kopp makes no mistake, sauces it to Panarin. 5-2 New York Rangers.
John Ott, this is what we saw at the beginning of the second period, and this time it's momentum plus a goal. The bread man makes no mistake. He gets that one almost off of his right skate, picks it up onto the stick blade, fires it home. Boy, I'm getting a great ESPN replay here, and we're seeing why he tapes the very tip of his stick blade. That's where the shot came from. Knuckle puck, and now multiple goals of beating Vasilevsky to that blocker side up high. Interesting to keep an eye on that as we continue.
Absolutely, no doubt about that. The feed was so good, I didn't really make a notice of that. Slap shot, and Shesterkin gives up the rebound. It's loose out in front. Tampa doesn't fire it right away. It might give him some time to recover with Ross Colton. He falls down and toward the right face-off dot. And we get a stoppage, and then we got a penalty call here on the ice. So I'm going to look and see which one that is.
Looks like I was trying to get a peek at the official there. I thought it might have been a cross-check, but we might have just a general roughing here. Let's take a look and see what we have from our referees as we get the replay here. It looks like we may have a trip, which was to the left of Shesterkin. And I couldn't get the TV numbers on the uniforms there, but yes, the Rangers did trip one of the Lightning forwards in the face-off dot.
Thank you for that, Cooper. Looks like Justin Braun is in the box for tripping. So Tampa Bay has just conceded a goal at 5-2. Tampa Bay's got an excellent power play line. They need to get something done right now. I'm not calling it, but I think they need to get this one. They got to get the next goal for sure. Hedman has this at the blue line side now, and Tampa can try to reset this thing. The power play has been about 23% for Tampa, which is still really, really good. Cirelli trying to dump in, and now he's one of those guys getting some power play time because they don't have Braden Point he might not return unless the Lightning make it to the Stanley Cup Finals. But right now, they got their hands full in Game 1 with the New York Rangers. It's a 5-2 scoreline for the Blue Shirts. It goes all the way back down to the Big Cat, and now Hedman can get this thing started. Had to spin around. There was no Lightning players in the vicinity, and now here's a chance plot toward the left face-off dot. It gets wired around the kick plate to Nikita Kucherov. Kucherov lost it momentarily, played it out in front of the blue paint, and Shesterkin tried to find it with the glove, but it went just high. Kucherov has it back at the right dot. Try to get set up one more time. Kucherov still with this thing and holding. And the high slot fake there. Hedman, slap shot, Kucherov, another save by Shesterkin, and he's down. And I hope the camera pans because Shesterkin is down and he is not moving. He might have been dazed with the shot there, Cooper. I don't know if you saw that one, but he looks slow to get up here.
I did get a brief look at that one. It may have been Stamkos right on the doorstep at the top of the crease. I think he got his stick across the mask, which may have shoved or forced the mask back into Shesterkin's face. I think he was stunned there momentarily as we see him now sort of trying to shake the cobwebs, and the trainer is out in the crease talking to the Rangers goaltender at the moment.
Hopefully, just like every other situation, you don't want injuries to any player. But if you have any injuries to any of these level of goalies between Shesterkin, again, Georgiev is actually really, really good for the Rangers. I don't think they're going to be able to afford to keep both of them going into the offseason. But if you lost Shesterkin or Vasilevsky, boy, would that really turn this series on its head. And it looks like, yes, there was a high stick that was put right back into the face. I think it was Stamkos in the middle of it. I'm seeing it now. It was an elbow that pushed the mask even more into Shesterkin. And as you said, he was trying to shake those cobwebs out. As it stands, he's going to be just shaking it out continuously, and he's going to stay in the game. 52 seconds left to go on the power play, and Gerard Gallant wants an elbowing call against Stamkos, and now the referee is talking to him just a little bit more. I'm getting a secondary look at it now, and my goodness, the stick went right into the mask of Shesterkin, courtesy of Stamkos, and that could not feel good.
No, certainly not, and I don't think we're going to get a penalty here. That was a bit of a messy play by Stamkos. He was jamming away, though, as Tampa Bay carries it into the offensive end, and then the Rangers send it back down the ice. Back to you on the play-by-play.
So now Tampa is going to try to settle this thing down once more. The power play is down to 30 seconds. Again, there's been a lot of stuff going on with Shesterkin, so you haven't really noticed too much of the Tampa power play. Corey Perry is out there on the second line as well. Hedman turns it over, and Fox couldn't find it. Here's a chance for Tampa, fluttering toward the right dot, and it goes wide. Picked up now by Hedman. He's going to hold and power play this thing, at least for Kucherov. Nice setup. Palat tried to feed it to Perry, but he couldn't get control of the pass, and Shesterkin found the glove and held.
New York has really moved their feet well throughout this game. I mentioned him earlier, and then, of course, the irony is that he blew a tire, but Jacob Trouba has really done an excellent job both for and back checking for the Rangers. I just love what he's been doing up high the blue line and down low near his goaltender, and he's been leading the way on defense. The Rangers just look locked in on both sides. They're killing this penalty with 9 seconds to go, and let's see if they can finish it out and get back to even strength.
Yeah, this is a wonderful effort, Cooper, that we're seeing from the Blue Shirts right now. And again, this is just one game, so I don't want to get too ahead of myself. But if New York can somehow replicate at least 75 to 80% of this, they're going to give Tampa Bay a good scare right now. Hedman has got this in the blue line. It gets tipped out in front, stopped by Shesterkin, then cleared down the ice. So the Rangers kill off an important penalty kill there. They want to keep this 3-goal lead as much as possible. And another thing I want to keep in mind of are that the Rangers don't play too sloppy with the lead. Colorado was intent of giving up some of these goals. And let's see if the Rangers can have this attention to detail. That's loose in behind the cage. Shesterkin made one save. Tampa still got this now. As it's in toward the high slot, Sergachev couldn't find it. And this goes back to Chernak. Chernak tried to play this out ahead. Here's a chance for Kucherov. Holding. Try to expertly bank this one off the end boards. McDonough is going to have to chip this in deep. Maroon trying to find it. Kucherov throws an elbow into Trouba. He was just able to spin out of the way of that, though. And now Here's a chance for Keandre Miller, and he's going to dump this one in as the defense can take some wholesale line changes here for the Rangers. Down the ice, two guys on side here, and I'm going to be an offside against the Tampa Bay Lightning, so we're going to get an offensive zone draw here for the Rangers.
You know, what we're seeing time and again from Shesterkin in this contest is just making saves look easy. And now listen, some of them are routine for goaltenders at this level, but Shesterkin has been called into action, and I want to point out that right before the power play expired for Tampa Bay, Corey Perry had a deflection right on, and Shesterkin kept it out.
He sure did, and it was one of those passes. There was a deflection. We ran a little bit of a pass flub across to him, and he was able to make that save. And keep in mind, Shesterkin was pulled 7 or 8 games ago now for Georgiev in favor, and since he's come back, and he's been excellent. It's one of those situations, too, like Andrei Vasilevsky. He didn't have a great first round, but both of these goalies have really been in form. And you might think I'm crazy because you see 5 goals on the shot board against Andrei Vasilevsky, but he's been really good. It's just one of those situations where the Rangers have put out some unreal effort to be able to score some goals on one of the best goalies in the world. So now we're back into the action right now. Panarin doing a spin-a-rooney there as he's fallen down. The fans want a call. Kaloran is looking on like he might be going to the box there. Panarin was being hooked and held like crazy there.
That's right. Play is whistled dead here, and we are still waiting for the official call with Panarin. Spun around, and it does look like we are going to get a hold. Yep, that will be a hold. And, Panarin was did his best impression of a top right there as he went 360 very quickly on the ice. Getting a replay here on the ESPN feed. And, the grab of the jersey. Panarin did a little extra, not saying he fully embellished, but he made sure to go all the way around. And so Tampa Bay will be 1 man down now. 2 minutes on the power play clock for the home team.
Absolutely a penalty, like you said, but the Superstars know how to get that call when they need one, and they got one there. Fox, Panarin now trying to get set up here. Lets it go through the wrist shot. It goes to the wide of Vasilevsky to the left. Picked up now by Mika Zibanejad. Got 17 points in these playoffs. Fox, Panarin, nice back pass. Fox getting set up now toward the high slot toward the right. Finds Zibanejad toward the left circle. Lets it go. And I think that might have been sticked aside by Vasilevsky. Panarin finds Mika one more time. Lets it go into the screen. And it goes up and on a plate. 14:52 left to go in the third period. The Rangers are up 5-2. And right now, like I'm seeing, what I like to see is they're playing aggressive with the lead. Again, I understand it's a power play, but they're not sitting back like the Colorado Avalanche have been guilty of doing.
Absolutely right, John. And another thing to point out here, just fantastic, crisp, and sound passing from the Rangers team to the man. Every single player, whether it's coming out of their own zone or working the power play, beautiful passing tonight.
Yeah, this has been a thing of beauty, honestly. This is one of the best clinics that I've seen, and that's what's made this game so much fun to commentate here with you. It's always a good time anyway, but my goodness. Oh, shot block there out in front, and one of the Lightning players had to eat it there. That was Belmar, as this is still crisscrossed around. Slap shot set up again. Zibanejad pinballs around the kick plate. Panarin, Zibanejad again for a third time, and this one is stopped by Vasilevsky, but it's not kept out of the zone. Fox finds Panarin. Here we go again with the Rangers in the puck possession. This time on the power play, though. Panarin, Fox gets it now. Fox to Panarin in the high slot. He's still going to hold. Leave it there for Fox. Mika's still staying on that left faceoff down. Panarin finds Mika. Another slap shot. And for the 4th time, this one's going to count. 6-2 Rangers. Cooper Hopkins, this is glorious hockey. I don't care what the scoreline says. This has been a thing of poetry.
I'm putting a period after every single one of these words. Mika Zibanejad would not be denied. That was fantastic. So consistent, so patient, so explosive. I'm getting the replay right now on the ESPN feed. He had so many slap shots right there. I mean, he was doing his best Alexander Ovechkin impression. He's
Absolutely.
right where Ovi likes to score from. He's on those right half boards. He gets the pass back from the left corner, and he made no mistake right there. The Rangers are running away with this thing, and the way they've been playing, it does not look like they'll be able to do what Edmonton did to Colorado the other night and really close that gap. This one feels like it's getting away from Tampa Bay.
Absolutely, Cooper. And you know what? You said going into this series, right, that the Rangers had the best power play left of any of the playoff teams. It's not because there was 4 teams left, but they had the best power play going. Certainly, these numbers hold to it. I think John Cooper might be taking a timeout here, is what I'm seeing on the side of it. He's not one of those guys like Daryl Sutter. He will chew into his players and try to get them going. The former attorney from Michigan, again, he was best friends with Jeff Blashill, that was the former coach of the Red Wings. But I always got tired of seeing the Tampa Bay Lightning in the Atlantic Division just pace the Red Wings over and over again. So to see them losing 6-2 right now to the Rangers, I can't say it brings a smile to my face, but I'm not sad either, as the Rangers now have puck possession. This goes back to Capo Caco, so Zibanejad from Panarin and Fox. 1 goal allowed or fewer in each of the last 5 games for Tampa. That is crazy right now, considering what the score line is. 6-2, a good pasting of the back-to-back-to-back potential champions right now, with 13:20 left to go in the third period. And again, this scoreline might dictate this is one of those snooze fest games, but it's really not. This has been an absolute spectacular. A shot from the blue line is held by Shesterkin. This is one of the best 6-2 games I think I've ever seen. And if I was just not even commentating on this one, I'm trying not to over-adjust this thing, I would be enthralled with what I'm watching.
Yeah, absolutely. And we certainly both have been as we head to a break here. But the Rangers are on a mission, and they are succeeding in that mission. They continually are bringing these fans to their feet at Madison Square Garden. Beautiful scoring, beautiful passing, solid defense, working on the back check, working on special teams. Shesterkin has been solid when needed, only beaten twice. And as we've mentioned multiple times, but it bears a comment once more, Vasilevsky has not been bad. One man can only do so much. The Rangers have just been overwhelming the players in front of him, and he has answered as many calls as he can, but 6 of them have gotten by him only because the Rangers have been that good.
Absolutely, Cooper. And it's one of those situations, I think you and I would agree on this. Okay, look, it's 6-2 in this game, and it's probably to the point where the Rangers might be in the driver's seat territory. You never know with Tampa Bay, but it's getting to that point right now. But the puck possession, the attention to detail, like you said, has been something of a beauty. And look, I don't care if you have McDonough or Hedman or some of these other guys on the back end side of it, you even have Vasilevsky. How do you stop the Rangers tonight if they continue to have this puck possession and attention to detail? Is this just something where Tampa Bay can't stop it in game 1? Or is this something that they're going to be able to try to figure out as the series goes along? Because if this is what we're seeing right now, this is perfect hockey by the Blue Shirts.
John, you said it in an ideal way earlier. If the Rangers are able to tap into this level of playoff hockey, this level of skill, design plays, improvisation on the ice, and effort, if they can get 70 to 80% of that in the games to come in this series, the Rangers will walk away with this in a maximum of 6. Could even be a 5-game series if they're able to continue at this level at that 75 to 85% range. Now, you have to give Tampa Bay the credit because it is due. You don't win back-to-back cups for no reason. They have the quality. They have the experience to bounce back. And that's the question that everyone will ask, whether it's on ColorCast or ESPN or Sportsnet. I mean, pick a media outlet. We're all going to be asking, is this the Rangers team we're going to see, or is this the Lightning team that we're going to see as play is continued here at MSG?
Yeah, no doubt about that. When we get to another stoppage, we'll get back into that point. This gets back to Mika Zibanejad. Nice move. Set up there with Vasilevsky. Big rebound. Gets it back. Keandre Miller now plays it across to his defensive partner, Trouba. As the normal lines are out there right now for Gerard Gallant. It's 12:35 left to go in the third period. Tampa really needs a goal, and I felt like I've said that a lot. And again, I want to thank you for bringing up the earlier point about the 75 to 80%, because I thought that's what you would want to see going into this type of series. But I'm not overstating it. I know it's just game 1, and I know they have 7 more wins to get, let alone they still have 8. You got to finish this one off. But this looks like a team going into the beginning of the 16 teams that were there. I don't know how many people picked the Rangers to be able to win a cup. But if they can do this, they can certainly walk away with Lord Stanley. I mean, this is the best hockey that I've seen on both ends. And when you give Shesterkin back there with this kind of offensive output, this is very difficult even for Tampa. But Tampa is the one team that can make some adjustments from game to game to game. They could get sandwiched and lose 7-0, lose 3 straight games, and you would still believe they can come back and take the next 4. So that's just the way it goes. And to that point, before we get back into the action here, when the Maple Leafs and the Lightning played 11 straight times, it was back and forth until the Lightning won Game 6 and Game 7. And the Maple Leafs were one of the best offensive teams that they had seen. They had the book on Vasilevsky, it seems like, and the Rangers have the book right now with the Igor chance. This is a chance right now for Stamkos. And toward the right dot, Stamkos trying to find his way through. And Tampa Bay maybe just trying to get out of this game and flush it down the toilet as we get a stoppage with 11:32 left.
Yeah, John, you make a good observation yet again. I certainly don't think that, and actually I'm going to interrupt myself here. It looks like we're going to be getting a holding penalty against Miller of the Rangers, and Tampa Bay will be heading to the man advantage. That one happened very quickly. I actually didn't see the call on the ice, but Stamkos was held as he came in off of the right half boards and cycled around Shesterkin. Yes, Miller will go to the box for 2 minutes for a holding. So Tampa Bay, a chance here, even if they're not completely flushing this game away, even getting one goal back. This is a classic in hockey and really all of sports. Just doing something to remind yourself that you are of the caliber to take on your opponent in these future games.
I couldn't agree with you more, and this is another time for Tampa Bay. They didn't score on the previous power play. They got one now. Keandre Miller committing that cardinal sin, putting Tampa Bay on the power play. But again, Tampa Bay has done the same thing, and New York has fed them their medicine as it's 6-2. 11:15 left to go in the third. Corey Perry on the second line power play right now. Trying to send it across. Here's a chance. Kucherov in the slot. He let the quick wrister go, and it got blocked out in front before it even got to Shesterkin. Now Kucherov sitting in toward the right dot. Trying to play a pass across. Kucherov gets it back. Centered out in front. Trying to find Corey Perry. Here's a chance. Chernak. Slot pass by Kucherov. Gets knocked away. And I cannot overstate this enough. I know it's a 4-goal lead for the Rangers, but still, they're playing like this is a 0-0 game. They're getting pucks out in the way of Shesterkin and letting him save the ones that he needs to save. As this gets back in right now, Corey Perry, Sergachev, slot pass. It gets blocked again before it hits Shesterkin. Perry tries to keep this alive. Kucherov tries to chip it in deep, and the blue shirts get this one down the ice. We're getting close to halfway through the third period. And even though there's been 8 goals, this feels like a quick-moving contest right now. 32 shots on goal for the Rangers, 29 for Tampa Bay. Chance for Hagel. Try to spin this around the kick plate now. This is Ross Colton. Ross Colton's going to leave it for Sergachev in the high slot. Let's go Rangers chant at MSG. It's a chance now for Nick Paul. Plays it in off the kick plate now. Slap shot, and it goes wide of Shesterkin. Tried to get kept in by Colton, but he could not, as we're down to 15 seconds left to go on the Tampa Bay power play. Ross Colton trying to quarterback this thing. It's with the extra forward sometimes that you see in a power play. That's what Tampa Bay has right now. Picked up now by Maroon. Maroon is going to spin this around to Adam Fox as he intercepts. Intercepted by Tampa there. Maroon gets it one more time. This goes to Colton. Spun out in front of Maroon. Now it's Nick Paul. Still in behind the cage. Tampa with the puck possession, but they got nowhere to go with it right now. Nick Paul stuck in between the left faceoff dot. Again, there's 3 blue shirts there. Nice move ahead there by Hedman and Chernak. And Hedman couldn't hold it. And Chernak goes back to pick this up. So the Tampa Bay power play, a lot of window dressing, some great puck possession, but nothing doing. 9 minutes left to go in the third period. The Rangers are up 6-2 in game 1 of this Eastern Conference Final. Hagel wrist shot. It goes down the ice here for Hedel. He's looking for another goal. He was trying to get a hat trick here. A couple of those Hedel goals have been absolutely mind-blowing. I cannot say that enough. Picked up now by Tampa. Nice stick check in front off the breakout. And I believe that was a chance for Tampa there, and it got denied by Igor Shesterkin with the glove.
Corey Perry was there looking for a rebound, and there would not be one materializing. Shesterkin doing an excellent job, as he's done a number of times throughout the evening, freezing that puck. Looks like he trapped it right in the center of the jersey. And we're going to head to a commercial break here. And John, I'm going to make you put your color hat on here for a moment.
Cool.
What do you think needs to be said as this team, look, unless something absolutely monstrous happens for the Lightning, they will take the L in this first game of the Eastern Conference Final. What do you think needs to be said in the locker room? Is there any particular grouping that needs to be focused on? Is it the play of the forwards? Is it the play of the centers? Is it the play of the defensemen? I don't think it's Vasilevsky, as we've agreed. He's been solid, even though he's let in 6 tonight. Is there anything specific that Tampa Bay should be focusing on? Or like you said, do they just toss the whole thing and try to start over in a couple nights?
That is a difficult question, but I think it's been said throughout a couple times in the series. Look, again, they swept the Florida Panthers, but if you talk about some of those games, Vasilevsky had to steal probably a couple of those games in order for the Tampa Bay Lightning to be able to walk away with it. Their goals for has not been incredibly mind-blowing unless you look at the Toronto Maple Leafs series. Are they missing Braden Point? Yes, a little bit. But again, maybe to your point, it might speak of let's split Steven Stamkos. Let's split Nikita Kucherov. Maybe, again, I think John Cooper would think I'm absolutely freaking crazy for saying this. Promote Brandon Hagel. Move some other guys up in the line and make sure you can kind of give New York as many lines to look at, because Tampa Bay, there's a couple times throughout some of these games, I'm not trying to sound too crazy here, but they've had some difficulty scoring. If it wasn't Toronto, they've had some difficulty here. So, yeah, I would think of some line combinations. And for Vasilevsky, it would just continue to do what you're doing. It's just, if you can't slow down the Rangers here from game one, at least to 60% of that, then they could be in trouble. Again, it's just game one. Maybe they flush it, but they got some things to think about here. We're going to get back under the action here now. 8:25 left to go in the third period. This is with the Rangers. Slap shot set up there, Miller, and that one gets let go and saved there by Vasilevsky. Again, not often, to say too many times, a goalie that's given up 6 has played pretty well in the pipes, but honestly, Vasilevsky has. It's just been the world-class puck movement, attention to detail by the Rangers. This is certainly an eye-opener here for me, and I think probably a lot of people, and I'm not ashamed to admit that one. This goes across the red line now, picked up now by Kreider, and this is going to go back to Keandre Miller. He's going to leave it to Lindgren, so Gerard Gallant's going to split the top line first and Lindgren and Miller on the second, and everybody's looked good right now. It doesn't matter who you throw out there right now for the Blue Shirts. Hedl tried to play it to Alexei Lafreniere. Gets cut off there by Cirelli as the game clock continues to bleed down against Tampa. It's now 7:30 left. Kucherov holding off that backspin, tried to play something out in front, and Tampa Bay just wasn't ready. It's one of these situations now where the vice grip gets ever tighter, and New York has never relented, which I really appreciate because, again, between Edmonton and Colorado, as we talked about, hasn't always been the case. Alexei Lafreniere now trying to do some battle against Kucherov. It gets played across for Patrick Maroon, and Palat will get this one down. We'll see if Kucherov can be the first to get to it. Tries to center it out in front, but again, the Blue Shirts have been there. They've been suffocating Tampa Bay. It's just one game, but this is not something that we've normally seen go against Tampa, but they have the ability to be able to flush it. Hedman turns it over there with Chernak. New York might have something here as it's poked out in front, and that's a big-time hit against the boards, and I'd be surprised if there's no answer on that against Hagel toward the last 6 minutes. Now this goes back to Hedman. He's been on the ice for about a minute and a half. This is spun out nicely. It's a 1-on-3, though, as Hagel couldn't just weave his way through the traffic cones, and this goes back to McDonough and Bogosian, and McDonough and Bogosian play catch. Nice pirouette there by McDonough as he tries to set something up there for Hagel. It eludes Patrick Maroon, and it goes back to Keandre Miller now. It's toward the left dot. There's all kinds of sticks and skate blades in there between blue and white jerseys. Tampa Bay trying to find this thing with Maroon, trying to spin this one back around. He gets it now, Bogosian. This goes back toward the blue line side, picked up now by Sorelli. A shot gets let go, and it goes wide of Shesterkin as we're down to 5:45 left. Again, Tampa's starting to get some puck possession, but that box is held. And now a 3-on-2. Kopp, holding off the left dot, is going to play a back pass. Nice work there by Strom to keep this one alive. Played out in front. Vasilevsky said no. What a glove save that was. 5:28 left in the third.
Vasilevsky still showing his team what he can do. Of course, I'm sure the players in front of him wish he didn't have to get called into action the way he has been tonight. But well, he was handcuffed right there on a beautiful wrister. And my goodness, what a stop. I mean, he's still on his game. And that's good to see when you're down 4 goals. He's still right there. And I'm getting some nice replays of the Hoggle hit right here. And surprise, surprise, Ryan Reeves has some things to say about that as we head to the commercial break. So keep an eye out for number 75 in red and blue. He might have a message to send here before things are said and done.
I keep going back to this. I don't want to sound like a broken record. I'm trying not to overstate anything, but the shot blocking, attention to detail, keeping things clean in front of Igor Shesterkin. New York has really just checked off every single box in this contest, have they not?
No, absolutely. I mean, listen, we're getting into cliche territory now, the way we're describing this. And I want to say hello to Nick the Gamer, Darren. Thanks, gentlemen, for joining us here. About a 5-minute period left to go here in the third at MSG. John on play-by-play. My name's Cooper Hopkins. And we are basically just bowing at the greatness that has been the New York Rangers tonight. I mean, this is the kind of game, like I said, we're getting into cliches. All young hockey players should watch this game tape and just watch the players in blue. It's been not perfection, but about as close as you can get, certainly in the playoffs when you're facing your biggest adversity. They have met it, exceeded it, broken through, and shown Tampa Bay they are not to be toyed with in this series. Everything. Moving their feet, staying active in the offensive zone, forechecking, battles in the corners, stick checking, back checking, working near the goaltender. I mean, pick a hockey strategy. They have shown excellence at it tonight. John and I have been so impressed, and we'll see how this game closes out. But the Rangers really have, as John used the term, vice grip on this game and the early portion of this series.
I want to know Cooper on the back end of it too. We can probably think about that in the back of our mind. I hope that Edmonton and Colorado are watching this, because what you're seeing right now, even they've got to take notice, is Gerard Gallant has to be really happy here. So Barclay Goodrow playing against his former team. He is have a 6-2 advantage here with the New York Rangers is. Tampa Bay's got possession. It's not often that the Bolts kind of get their lunch fed to them a little bit, but Vasilevsky, to his credit, has been excellent. I cannot say that enough. Both of these goalies have been great. So Shesterkin, chance for a steal there for Tampa Bay as this goes back to Corey Perry. Corey Perry now trying to do some battling there with Braun. Schneider is able to emerge with it. They get a little bit of third-line defensive time, and why not? You're up by 4 at this point with 4:50 left to go in the third. Vasilevsky has to come out of the goal crease to play this one. And Tampa, again, I would like to see if I'm Tampa just to get something going here, maybe get a goal or a couple prime scoring opportunities on Igor Shesterkin just to kind of jumpstart a little bit going into game 2, because they've been more or less shut down here, especially in the third. I've been impressed by that. Here's a chance now for some Igor chance as this goes back there. This is a chance now for Tampa. Plays it out in front. It bounces off of Shesterkin's left pad as it stays with Killorn. New York, Lafreniere closes it off with the third line that's out there right now. This is Filipino and Kakko, and this is going to be called for hybrid icing. It's going to be Tampa possession.
So just a few seconds beyond that 4-minute mark here to go in the third. Things are definitely winding down, and I have no doubt, I can say this with full confidence, I know that everyone in the Garden tonight is going to remember this game, whether or not they have a high level of expertise in hockey skill and strategy, or whether they're just there to experience a playoff game of this caliber. What a performance! I mean, barring something just unexpected, outlandish here in the final 4 minutes, this has been a clinic by the Rangers.
Cooper, this is one of those situations, and I'm not trying to make a joke here. I know playoff tickets are expensive, probably $300, $400. I would definitely pay that to watch these guys play this way. This has been an exceptional game. We got 3:45 left to go in this third period. Here's a chance for Tampa across the red line. Nick Paul is going to try to flutter this one, but again, it gets blocked before it hits Shesterkin and put down the ice. 3:30 left to go in the third period. There has been, let me double check on the score marker here, 2 goals in the third period from Panarin and Zibanejad that made it 6-2. And it was a quick one in 30 seconds by Panarin that kind of cut off the life of Tampa. But Tampa's had a couple power plays they have not answered. Rebound attempt. Ross Colton couldn't find it. I don't know if that bounced away from his stick, but I thought he had a gaping, yawning net to shoot at. As this goes back down the ice, New York can get some wholesale changes, and Vasilevsky will touch with 3 minutes left to go in the third period. MSG fans have to be enthralled with what they're seeing right now. Tampa and Cirelli has this off the backhand. It's a 1-on-4, and New York able to pick this one back up on their own end. Could have something here for Strome. Nice cross pass off the wraparound, and Strome thought he scored. He had his hand up halfway, but he did not. And this goes back down to 2:30 left to go in the third. There was almost a chance there for the Rangers. And now Tampa trying to get something going here with Bogosian. This is in toward the right faceoff. Davis finds Palat. Kucherov trying to let one go in through the screen. And now this goes toward the left dot. The blue shirts choking off the light of the Lightning, but Palat still trying to keep this going. Palat has it now. Chernak holding on the left side. That is Sergachev. Sergachev plays it out in front. Nice D-to-D move, but Shesterkin said no with the goal stick. Fox trying to get this out right now. Again, Tampa has a little bit of possession there, and they finally got some opportunities, but this is going to be a neutral zone faceoff.
Tampa Bay with a solid push right there. Shesterkin has been consistently called into action, and he did make a couple of solid stops right there. Also, a nice stick check on an attempted cross-ice pass there. But the Rangers, even with a lead of this size, still showing the same effort that got them where they are. And you're absolutely right. You know that the coaching staffs, or at least a member of the coaching staff of both Edmonton and Colorado, are watching this game and looking at New York. I mean, listen, nobody wants to play the Rangers, or excuse me, the Lightning. We know what they can do. But if the Rangers are going to continue this way, absolutely no one wants to face a team playing this well.
No doubt about it now. We got 1:46 left to go in the third, and I'm just wondering if we're going to see some rough stuff here. Gaudreau, Hagel, Braun. Now on the right side, Chernak being held by a chokehold a little bit. Mott gets punched in the face there by Cal Foote. Now series of punches by Foote on Mott. So they're still letting them go right now. Cal Foote is punched about 5 times. Barclay Goodrow has a hold. This is in toward a little bit of McDonough. And now we have another part of the scrimmage there with Schneider, third line defense. Cooper, we're seeing this right now. I thought we might get this in the last couple minutes. Ryan Reeves has his helmet off. Can't let him get a few of those meat cleavers in toward the face. That won't feel too good. Series of punches here by Schneider. The refs are just letting them go right now. I'm enjoying this.
My gosh, why am I surprised? Ryan Reeves literally has a smile on his face. This is his world, and McDonough's still tied up right now. Foote, Mott, they were throwing punches back and forth, and things seem to be quieting just a bit here, but tempers are flaring inside 2 minutes to go here in the game.
And now they're going to meet back up a little bit again with Reeves. I can't see who else is in there. Mott is still punching with Foote. Reeves, couple sucker punches there in on Pat Maroon. Pat Maroon is not going to take that too lightly. The Zebras get knocked down. Reeves is on top of Maroon right now. What is going on right now in the last 1:46? I'm enjoying this, though, as the broadcaster. Again, some people say fighting has no place in the NHL. I am not one of those. Sign me up for it.
I do not envy the boys in black and white here. There is one of the linesmen is sandwiched between, I think, Maroon and Reeves. Fans are on their feet. The cell phones are out. Everyone's recording this scrum. This looks like a barroom brawl.
And with Patrick Maroon, if you want to be able to get a 4th straight Stanley Cup, sometimes you have to go through this stuff. So that happens in between Cal Foot. I think he got fed his lunch about 5 times with a couple of punches there. And Ryan Reeves, he has some celebratory words as he walks in the players' bench, and some of the lucky fans were able to see him get an exit. Everybody's standing, clapping, enjoying themselves, and smiling. Again, you're not doing so if you're Tampa on this side, but if you're at MSG and you're a Rangers fan, this has been an absolute treat. And again, I'm not overstating the previous game between an 8-6. Everybody loves goals, but this has been more along the lines of my fashion, and this has been a great game between two seriously good teams in this Eastern Conference Final.
Fantastic game. We've gotten to see, like I said, a clinic from the Rangers. I love that the Lightning are collecting sticks and helmets and taking them back to their respective benches. You had to figure, John, I think you indicated you felt it coming. I was a little skeptical. I didn't know if we would see the rough stuff here, but the Lightning had to do something. They weren't able to get one more on the board. They haven't scored in a while. They've been scored on, and they're not used to this, especially after the series against Florida. They are not used to this, so they had to go to the strong stuff. I don't know if it's going to make that big of a difference. The Rangers seem game for it, and you know that Reeves is going to lead the way, and that's what Darren was saying in the chat. He knew that Reeves would be in the middle of it. Right you are, sir. He was grinning ear to ear as he headed to the locker room.
This is one of those situations that we can't oversell, Cooper, in the sense of exactly as you said. The Rangers are also built for this stuff too. By the way, elite offense, defense, excellent goaltending. And by the way, we can also punch you in the face too. So as we get set up here, we're going to have a lot of penalties to talk about. But again, I don't know what's going to be held for a 4-on-4 or whether or not Tampa Bay is going to the power play. The CDC side has the Bolts on a 2-minute power play with 1:46 left to go. So that is not going to last all the way through. That is for sure. But lots of roughing to talk about here. And I'm just going to leave that alone for right now as we're going to sort the rest of this out with 1:46. And to your point, Cooper, I think they had to do this again with some of the rough stuff. If you're not going to put a goal in the back of the net, you got to save face for something. I think if you look on it, there's been some couple plays that were good on both sides. Andre Vasilevsky might be the only guy in this game here for Tampa that I wouldn't take his performance and flush. I thought he's been really, really good. But New York was able to show them something. They looked more like Tampa than Tampa did here in Game 1. But again, it's just Game 1. Going to be very interesting to see what happens here. Let me get my date correct. On Friday, when this series will resume, about roughly the same time, about 8:10 Eastern. So 1:35 left to go in the third period. Tampa is on a power play, but they're going to need a lot more of those. It's just 1:30 left to go in this third period. This game has all been over, but again, you don't want to use this time as just blasé. Get something going on your power play and carry something over into Game 2. It's about those little things. A shot right out in front of the high slot, double pass, set across. Kucherov trying to let this one go. Hedman going to fire it, and it goes high and wide. This goes back in toward the high slot as this is spun around. Kucherov is on the open side of the wing. He's going to work his way to the right dot. He likes that area. Lets the wrist shot go. Nice save there by Shesterkin with the right glove. The rebound was there as we're down to 50 seconds left to go in the third. The Tampa Bay power play is at a minute left. But again, that really doesn't matter too much at this point. New York can get this one down the ice, and Vasilevsky, for all intents and purposes, just has to pick this up a couple more times before this game is over. Everybody's standing and waving the white towels at the Madison Square Garden. You've seen such wonderful historic events in sports. And again, maybe this Game 1 is going to be a little minute in the grand scheme of things that Madison Square Garden has seen. But I'm going to remember this Game 1 for a long time, as we get a stoppage with 38 seconds left.
Well, I will certainly remember it as well, John. This has been just an outstanding game for the Rangers and their fans. And you're right, 41 seconds left here on the power play for Tampa Bay. Of course, that's more than remains in the contest. And the Rangers just need to close this out here. 26.4 on the clock, and we're back underway. And they're going to try to finish this thing off.
So Ross, Cold, and Sergachev set up there. Cold got his slap shot denied, and the puck went across the blue line. So they're going to have to do this in the neutral zone. So for all intents and purposes, this game is going to end 6-2, and the Rangers are going to take game 1 of this Eastern Conference final. And I can say this many, many times, and it's not hyperbole. If there is any team that can turn momentum around, it is the Tampa Bay Lightning. Yes, I am wholly impressed by what I've seen today with the New York Rangers, but they've got to be able to keep up that same level of intensity. They cannot fall down to that 60 percentile because things can turn around very quickly. That's it. The Rangers win. Igor Shesterkin, I'm sure, is going to be cascaded by a bunch of his teammates. And it's not very often, Cooper Hopkins, that I see a scoreline that Tampa Bay's on the end of it where they've given up 4 more goals than their opponents. 6-2 final.
What a game, John. Excellent call from you. So happy to be on it with you. And Darren, want to definitely give you a tip of the cap for sticking with us here as we close out game 1 of the Eastern Conference Final in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Once again, 6-2, your final score. The Rangers dominate the defending Stanley Cup champs. We're going to do it again 2 nights from now in New York. And Mika Zibanejad here on my ESPN feed, giving a big bear hug to number 31, Igor Shesterkin. What a performance from him. And even in the waning moments, John, he was called upon. He was called upon sporadically throughout this game. Only 2 get behind him. He showed us what we know he can do. And if he can continue, like we said, 75 to 80%, 85%, if the Rangers can stick with this, they don't have to be perfect. They don't even have to repeat this performance. But if they can be in the ballpark, this is going to be a serious uphill battle for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Cooper. I just want to make one quick mention while I got you on here, and this is just isn't one of those things to just be nice. I mean this wholeheartedly. I appreciate you joining me on the broadcast here. I understand there's been certain things in life. Again, I'm doing a lot of high school sports stuff. Colorcast gives another opportunity. All I really wanted was someone else to be able to bounce thoughts and ideas off of while we call games and stuff like that together. I know with cerebral palsy, that makes some of those things kind of hard to do. But to be able to do all these game stories and things like that today and be able to work with you is very much appreciated, man. So anytime we get a chance to hook up and do this, it's a lot of fun. Hopefully we can try to find a way to work through the Stanley Cup Finals and call a winner there because, man, the New York Rangers look like a winner today. And this is going to be a great series if Game 1 is any indication.
Well, hey, you know how I feel. You know what I'm going to say. I always appreciate having an opportunity to jump on the mic with you, whether it's play-by-play or the color side. And I want to thank you because normally, I kind of lean into my usual focus, which is the play-by-play. But, John, you know what you're doing. You killed it today. Really great goal calls and great descriptions in between. I mean, hey, there were 8 scored, which is about half of what we normally get. So this boring game – LOL, was still very fun to do with you. We will absolutely continue our work together. And like we've been saying, if the Rangers continue their work together, the kind that they displayed tonight, I mean, listen, I'm interested in all of these teams. I've been ready for the Stanley Cup playoff run. Obviously, I was hoping my team would make a deeper push. But now, excuse me if I don't get on the bandwagon with the red, white, and blue because, my goodness, they just impressed me beyond belief tonight.
Yeah, it was an incredible performance. It was a great game. Again, the scoreline isn't indicative of the plays that we saw. And just to wrap up here really quickly, again, Philip Hedl, especially on that second goal, please go ahead and watch these highlights here tonight. I'll have the game story and everything else up shortly in a few hours. Please go watch these highlights. And I hope anyone else, as Cooper said, young and old, if you love hockey, the puck possession, man movement, attention to detail was as close to about as perfect as you can get. So it's put all these other teams on notice. But again, the series will continue in a couple days, and I'll pretty much catch up with you next weekend, my friends. So as always, it's been good, and we will talk soon again.
Thanks so much, John. Beautiful call tonight. 6-2 the final. Way to go, Rangers. Tampa Bay's got some work to do, and you and I will be back on it as soon as possible, and we'll keep this playoff run going.
Sounds good, man. I appreciate it as always.
All right. Have a great night.
You too.